Something's brewing at Schaff Productions.
Wow! Schaff?
It's not Schaff anymore. It's Dunk.
Dunk Ferillis?
Don't mind if I do. What's this vid?
Sandler ranking!
It's a bunch of shit.
Sandler ranking!
You want a bad movie to give you a fright? Say hello to 8 Crazy Nights. Pixels, Grown-Ups, 2 and Click. This whole ranking will make you sick. They pull me back in with Uncut Gems, but Jack in jail, it's back as a him. Everyone wants my Sandler ranking. Can't get enough of my Sandler ranking. All these movies that Sandler stankin', making up this whole Sandler ranking. What's this vid?
Sandler ranking!
A Sandler.
Sandler ranking!
So, you're probably wondering why I did this. Back at the end of last year, I was approached by the American Heart Association to see if I was interested in raising money for heart disease research with a fundraiser. I was down and started brainstorming rewards I could post for each milestone achieved. And there was one ranking idea that I definitely didn't want to do willingly, but I kept seeing as a commonly requested video in many of my comment sections. Ranking the filmography of Adam Sandler. Well, that doesn't sound too hard. I mean, he's directed a total of 0 films. I don't see why that's so Oh, you meant the films he's acted in. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. Well, you know what? If that's the people's will, then sure. I listed every Adam Sandler movie ranked as the $15,000 total fundraising reward. And for a while there, it kinda looks like I was in the clear. This fundraiser was meant to last throughout the month of February 2025. And as we approached the end of the month, I only had around $7,500 raised. Well, that's nice. I managed to get all that money donated to heart research, and I don't have a societal obligation to rank Adam Sandler movies after all. As long as no one swoops in on the last day of the fundraiser and donates the rest of the money to reach $15,000, I'm completely safe. You'll never guess what happened on the last day of the fundraiser. I genuinely couldn't believe it. Some people assumed it was me who donated the remainder of the funds, since I always planned to do the ranking. But no, believe me, I wanted nothing more than to not actually go through with this. But this one anonymous donor had other plans. So whoever you are, f*** you. I mean, thank you for donating over $7,000 to heart research. That's honestly really cool of you. But also, f*** you. Do you know how many god-awful movies I had to watch for this asinine ranking video? My eyeballs were assaulted 6 ways from Sunday, at least 2 times a week. And I will never be the same again. But on the other hand, I did get to see some good movies, so there's that. Adam Sandler needs no introduction. One of the most famous actor/comedians out there. To the point where the comedy films he stars in might as well be a genre in and of itself. He's headlined so many iconic and infamous films. He's one of the most beloved and despised actors out there in equal measure. And on top of his ridiculously divisive comedic work, it's no secret at this point that he's also an exceptionally talented dramatic actor when he wants to be. Which is not often enough, if you ask me and most other people. By the time I finished this ranking, I honestly can't say I had a negative opinion on Sandler as an actor. He's charming and likable in a lot of his comedies, mostly the early ones, and I find myself frequently impressed with what he can do dramatically. Yeah, I'll say it. I kinda like Adam Sandler as an actor. I think he's naturally charismatic and gifted. The same is not true for his filmography, however. He just throws himself into the laziest, most brain-dead, most offensively unfunny, quote-unquote, comedies over and over. Over half of the movies he's been in range from disposable to downright abominable, with so many of them blending together. It's always the same brand of awful humor, with the same group of friends who keep popping up in the supporting cast. Kevin James, David Spade, Chris Rock, Steve Buscemi for some reason. I genuinely didn't expect Steve Buscemi to be in so many Adam Sandler movies going in. Much like Sandler, all these actors are kinda hit or miss, but I've enjoyed them all in at least some films. But then there's Rob Schneider. He is the most unfunny, untalented, unlikable actor I have ever had the displeasure of seeing on screen. And he is in so many Adam Sandler movies. He just keeps showing up, and the primary joke he partakes in is brownface. No, I'm not kidding. He's a half-white, half-Filipino guy who is seemingly addicted to showing up in these movies in brownface. It just does not stop. There's no other joke with him other than, haha, tee-hee, he shouldn't be playing a racist caricature right now. That's all he can do. He has no comedic instincts. He's a parasite who surrounds himself with actual funny people so audiences don't notice that he himself is not funny. It just does not end with him. Sorry, what was this video about? Adam Sandler? Okay, I guess we should actually get into this thing before I start another rant. Now, Adam Sandler has cameoed in a ton of films, including many Rob Schneider starring vehicles. Yippee! But I feel like we can all agree that it would be insane for me to count those. If Sandler only shows up for like 5 seconds, that's not an Adam Sandler movie. I also knocked off any documentaries or concert films where he appears as himself, as well as a couple short films. We're only ranking the narrative feature films where he has a lead role or a significant supporting role. The one film I was unsure about was Coneheads, but William told me he wasn't in that one enough to count it, so I won't. Blame him if you wanted to hear about it. I got my hands full with 52 feature films, from 1989's Going Overboard to 2025's Happy Gilmore 2 and Jay Kelly. The comedies, the dramas, the animated films, and whatever the ridiculous six is classified as, they're all here. And because of how lopsided this ranking is gonna be between the few good films and the many terrible ones, we're gonna go from best to worst, so you get a better understanding for the pain and suffering this ranking caused me. At least, that was the plan, but I seem to have misplaced the uncut audio for the top 2 films I was gonna start with. It's such a shame. I genuinely really love those gems, but I gotta keep digging for the audio files. Oh well, maybe I'll find the uncut audio for those gems by the time the video is over. Might be nice to end the ranking off with movies that don't make me want to die. So with that said, let's put a pin in the top 2 movies and kick things off with my number 3 ranked film. Remember, all roads lead to 52. That's the bottom spot that I might succumb to a nervous breakdown before reaching. Let's enjoy the good times while we can.
Artists are bizarre.
The Meyerowitz Stories, New and Selected, is a phenomenal film. It's from Noah Baumbach, who might just be one of my favorite writer-directors out there. You might not know his name, but you definitely know movies he's worked on. The most famous one he's directed is probably Marriage Story, the one where Adam Driver says, "Every day I wake up." But this guy has also co-written a lot of other popular movies like Barbie, Fantastic Mr. Fox, and Madagascar 3. That's seriously the silliest thing ever. I think he just did that to pay for his divorce. But I would highly recommend giving some of his directorial works a try. If you've never seen Frances Ha, oh man, you gotta. Fantastic movie. And it even stars and was co-written by his wife, Greta Gerwig. You know, she made some movies you might have heard of. Okay, I'm getting off track. Let's apply my love for Noah Baumbach's films to the first of the 2 Adam Sandler collaborations he's done. Yeah, he was kind of the second auteur after Paul Thomas Anderson to really take a chance on Sandler as a dramatic actor. This movie's about a dysfunctional family where Sandler plays the son of an easily irritable artist played by Dustin Hoffman. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I have to make this discussion understandable for r/Jfrillis. The artist is played by Master Shifu, and Sandler is upset that he never received as much attention growing up as his half-brother Alex the Lion did. But as it turns out, receiving too much attention has kind of f***ed up Ben Stiller and made him resent his father. So we not only see the 2 half-brothers individually come into conflict with their father, but with each other. It's really shocking to see just how little they know about each other's lives and how many events they missed over the years. And it's not because of some big dramatic event that caused the fallout between them, it just kind of naturally happened over time. Stories like this really surprise me because I just have no frame of reference for it. This sort of thing just never would have happened to me and my brother brother if we ever lived far apart. You really long for the two of them to reconcile their differences, even as all sorts of pent-up resentment get in their way. Even just the conversations they have are so masterfully out of sync. There's one scene where Sandler makes a bunch of assumptions about what Stiller does, and all of them are wrong. Of course, the film's dialogue is also used to great effect to show how set in his ways Dustin Hoffman's character is. He holds conversations with his kids that just consist of ignoring everything they're saying and continuing his own train of thought. I really can't praise the dialogue in this film enough. It's tight, it's sharp, it gets across everything you need to know about most of these characters. The editing is great, there are some really funny cuts. The cinematography is pretty good and has a lot of personality to it. I suppose I better focus in on the man of the hour though. Actually, this video is probably a lot longer than an hour, but whatever. How is Adam Sandler in this? Pretty fantastic. It's not his best dramatic role. In fact, I think he's even stronger in a few weaker films on this list. Here, I definitely think Stiller is outshining him a bit, but he gets the emotions across very well, and he's the character I end up sympathizing with the most, thanks in no small part to what a compelling dramatic turn this is for Sandler. I also love his relationship with his daughter in this. It's a small part of the film, but it's so warm and powerful. That stupid song they sing together on the piano gets me every time. And I love seeing how proud he is of the weirdo porno movies she makes. All in all, a fantastic film. Though I kind of have one major problem with it. Sandler and Stiller are not the only children this guy has. There's also a daughter character who I neglected to mention until now because, well, the movie neglects her. The two brothers both get entire chunks of the movie for them to interact with their father one-on-one. And she gets a 3-minute monologue about a creep jacking off to her in a swimsuit when she was a teenager. And that's it. I don't even know if she had a one-on-one scene with her father at any point in the movie. She's there throughout the whole thing, but mainly just as an extension of Sandler's character, with practically no depth or focus of her own. At that point, why is she even in the movie? I'm glad Marriage Story came out after this so Noah could prove he could write women without Greta's help, because this is really pathetic. It's like watching Succession and having Shiv be off in the background while Kendall and Roman are duking it out. Just do something with the only daughter of this curmudgeonly, neglectful father. There's a lot of interesting story potential there. Aside from that pretty notable flaw, I really love this movie. It's a very accessible and enjoyable watch that can also give you a taste of what Adam Sandler can really do as a dramatic actor. And that won't be all we see of this side of him, don't you worry.
Nice job, Kermit. Bitch. Nice job, Kermit. Bitch. Nice job, Kermit. Bitch.
Damn you, Adam Sandler, for making me like a sports movie. Hustle is honestly really good. Great, even. It's one of the more serious Adam Sandler roles, where he plays the recruiter for the Philadelphia 76ers. And he even went to Temple University. Like me! Yeah, it makes a lot of sense why I like this movie in hindsight. There's something about Philly where even if you generally don't care about sports at all, you just can't help but be invested in Philly sports. I'm not gonna sit down to watch an Eagles game, but if they make it to the Super Bowl, you better believe I am on that shit like a hawk. I don't like watching baseball, but the sight of the Philly fanatic brings me such immense joy that I simply can't deny. I think it was very smart of Adam Sandler to set this movie in Philly, because sports are the culture here. Even more so than usual for a big city. It's like, sports is the most prominent part of our identity, then second place is being the birthplace of independence or whatever, and then third is, I don't know, Wawa. Hey, why don't I actually talk about the movie itself now? So Adam Sandler finds a really good but somewhat unruly basketball player in Spain. But when the shithead Nepo baby who's now in charge of the 76ers rejects him, the two of them gotta find other means to make this guy a basketball superstar. The chemistry between Sandler and the basketball player is very natural, and you want to see him beat all the odds and make it in the NBA. The story does have some sports movie cliches, but they work pretty well and they don't feel entirely played out. The story manages to remain engaging throughout, and I was shocked to find out at the end that it was entirely fictitious. It's such a comprehensive and well-realized rags to riches story that I seriously thought it was a biopic. Not the case, surprisingly. There's a lot of cameos from other basketball players as themselves. Like, Shaq actually appears in a lot of Adam Sandler movies playing a character, so it's nice he actually got to appear as himself in a movie about basketball for a change. Anthony Edwards also plays this delightfully obnoxious rival character named Kermit? Why is he named Kermit? Only based people get to be named Kermit, and this guy's an asshole, so I'm mad about that. Of course, we have to talk about just what a great performance Sandler gives in this. He brings so much weariness and determination to this part. You can really see it on his face in so many scenes, how much he regrets how things ended for him career-wise. He has a natural charisma and plenty of funny lines, while never actually losing sight of his character. He's not just playing himself. I love it when he doesn't do that. What can I say, man? This is honestly just a really good sports drama, where Sandler gives as good of a central performance as you would want out of any actor. This even earned him his first SAG Award nomination. That's pretty cool. Overall, I'm surprised I enjoyed this one so much. It's a simple yet very effective sports drama that kept me engaged the whole time. Well, okay, maybe some of the training montages went on for way too long, but otherwise, yeah, really good movie.
9/11 was bad.
Well, it's time to talk about the movie where Adam Sandler uses Shadow of the Colossus to cope with losing his family during 9/11. Yeah, you heard me. Reign Over Me just seemed so fascinating from not only the premise, but Sandler playing against type in one of his few dramatic roles. And Don Cheadle plays his best friend. Holy shit, this is all I could have ever wanted. Thank you so much, movie. I love Don Cheadle. You know, sometimes I forget he's an actual actor and not just a funny guy to make Twitter shit posts about every November 29th. He's very good in this, but Sandler is transcendent. In many ways, he is kind of playing one of his typical comedic characters who yells in an exaggerated manner and physically attacks people who get on his nerves. But all of that is a reflection of his pain and the PTSD his family's death gave him. There's this scene where he finally opens up to Don Cheadle about his family for the first time, and it might just straight up be the best acted scene I've ever seen from Sandler, even outdoing anything he does in his better movies. Because despite two wonderful central performances with a lot of chemistry, the movie is kinda flawed. There are a lot of subplots that feel pretty underdeveloped, from Don Cheadle not connecting with his wife as well, to butting heads with kid named Finger who works at his dental office, to having to deal with a patient who wants to f*** him. I mean, I don't blame her, this is Don Cheadle we're talking about, but that's not the point. There's a lot going on in his life that doesn't really connect to the main storyline about helping Sandler get his life in order again. I think the connection the two leads share is really beautiful though, and I think it's really cool how they bond over playing Shadow of the Colossus, a game all about grief and not being able to do anything to bring your loved one back. The movie doesn't even spell that out, it's just there in the subtext. If you know, you know. One thing though, they call it Shadows of the Colossus a lot. I get that it's new to Don Cheadle and he would reasonably make that mistake, but even Adam Sandler calls it Shadows. Adam Sandler is a fake gamer, confirmed? Ah, who am I kidding? Of course he's a real gamer. He made Pixels. Overall, this movie's really good, though I almost thought it was great, mainly based on the performances. I don't know though, it is kinda clunky, and a lot of elements weirdly feel better in some of the Adam Sandler comedies. Like, the courthouse scenes at the end of this movie felt like a weaker version of the courthouse scenes from Big Daddy. I feel like if the writing was tighter and stronger, we might really have a masterpiece on our hands here. Oh, also, take out 9/11, it doesn't add anything. I feel like it would have been way more devastating if it was just a normal accident that killed his family, instead of it having to be the biggest, scariest terrorist attack ever. Don't get me wrong, it's not on the same level of tasteless cringe as the ending of that one Robert Pattinson movie, but it really is a bit distracting and unnecessary. Still, good movie with a fantastic performance from Sandler that you should really check out to see what he can do. I will fall in love with you over and over again. 50 First Dates is an incredibly sweet movie. It takes a premise that might be a little disturbing and creepy in the wrong hands. Hell, knowing the premise beforehand, I was kinda worried Adam Sandler's hands were the wrong ones for this. But aside from some annoying expected Sandlerisms here and there, this is honestly a lovely and sincere utilization of this great premise. Drew Barrymore plays a woman with short-term memory loss who Adam Sandler wants to rizz up every day. But over time, he starts to genuinely fall in love with her and wants to help her live with her condition as best as she can. I think it really works because their chemistry genuinely does feel like something special. They're very cute together, and I like how she isn't just this generically nice woman who's just meant to be a pitiful victim. She's really fun and feisty in her own right, and a great match for Sandler's character. This certainly works as an Adam Sandler romantic comedy, but a small part of me wishes it wasn't. The premise is seriously so damn interesting, and I would have loved to see the drama of it explored a little bit more. The scene where we just get to see Drew Barrymore's initial daily routine and how her father and brother set it up for her the next day was really compelling and sad. But then we gotta cut to the Sandman chatting it up with Rob Schneider in full brown face as a Hawaiian man. This movie is seriously too good to have brown-faced Rob Schneider in it. I don't want it in any of these movies, but at least it fits right in with some of the irredeemable garbage we'll have to talk about later in the ranking. And it especially sucks since he's like Sandler's best friend in this. He's in most of the damn movie, and he's painfully unfunny the whole time. I like these other side characters played by actual Hawaiians. They're pretty funny. Why does Rob Schneider gotta be a part of this, dude? I don't understand. There's a lot of other annoying, lowest common denominator humor too, like the walrus that projectile vomits on a lady. Yippee! There's also a few times where emotional moments are undermined by jokes, and it's like, come on. Could you just sit with a tender moment for a change? I realize I'm asking a lot of an Adam Sandler comedy, but I don't know, man. I like his central performance a lot. I think he's perfect for this kind of character. I just wish the writing had a little bit more faith in the story at times, and less in the Sandler-ness of it all. Ultimately, I really liked this film. I was invested in the central relationship the whole time, and I even got a little emotional during the third act breakup that I thought happened for completely logical and understandable reasons. Now, that's a rare accomplishment for a movie. I'm just a little bummed because I came really close to loving the film overall. It just needed a little more heart and a lot less Rob Schneider. I still recommend it though. Just be prepared to cringe every now and then in between the emotional investment.
Golf.
Happy Gilmore is often considered a fan favorite among Sandler's filmography. And yeah, I can see why. This movie is far more endearing and less mean-spirited compared to a lot of Sandler's other stuff. Plus, there are a lot of bits that are actually funny? What? Yeah, had a pretty good time with this one. I mean, the story is kind of your by-the-book sports underdog film, where Sandler realizes he has a natural talent for golf and starts competing in tournaments to raise money to save his grandmother's house. He proves all the snobby rich people wrong and fights back against the evil, bully pro golfer, even getting the girl in the process. Sure, it may be predictable from a story perspective, but I feel like most people are here for the comedy. And yeah, I'm pleased to say that this film mostly really delivers. There's so many hilarious bits and scenes in this. I love all the parts with Ben Stiller's deranged nursing home caretaker. The Bob Barker fight scene was hysterical, and I like to imagine he did all his own stunts for that. I assume he had a stunt double, but I don't know. It would be really funny if that's actually him taking all those tumbles. Oh, and the stuff with Carl Weathers and the alligator had me dying. When he sees the alligator head, that might be like top 5 funniest moments in an Adam Sandler movie. Shooter McGavin is also such a fun villain. I mean, just from his name alone, you know you're gonna be in for a great time with him. He's so deliciously, cartoonishly evil, and someone you want to see Happy take down. Hell, Happy himself is a very likable and sympathetic protagonist. Maybe sometimes his outbursts can get a little repetitive, and he has plenty of annoyingly juvenile moments, but he's sweet deep down, and I really wanted him to succeed. His romance with Modern Family Mom is a little generic, but I wanted to see them succeed as a couple too. I don't know. What can I say? I like sincerity, and this just feels weirdly sincere for an Adam Sandler project, while also feeling weirdly actually funny a lot of the time. I get why this one's so popular, I really do. I wouldn't say it's one of my all-time favorite comedies, and I don't really care for sports movies in general that much, but it's a good movie, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again sometime, honestly. They should put Adam Sandler in Mario Golf. I think he would fit right in.
How would you like to be my son?
Big Daddy almost made me cry. What the hell? It's a shockingly sincere movie about Adam Sandler getting stuck with this 5-year-old kid and slowly wanting to actually raise him and be a part of his life. As you might imagine, he's not a great role model. Like, at all. But it's honestly really charming seeing him do his best to be a good parent, despite being well, a typical Adam Sandler character. If this happened in real life, I would absolutely be horrified. But it's a movie. I don't care. I liked seeing him try and raise the kid. I thought the bond they were forming was really sweet. I got a little choked up when they were inevitably split apart. It's a good movie. What do you want from me? Sure, it's not perfect. There is some gross out humor, though a lot of it is accurate to how kids are, so it's not as egregious as it usually is in these movies. There's still other annoying jokes, like Sandler constantly berating this one lady because she used to work at Hooters. Wow, yeah, okay, cool. And then, of course, there's Rob Schneider in full brown face again as one of Sandler's friends. You might be shocked that that's happened twice already in this list, but don't worry. It will happen many, many more times. For the most part, though, this is a very cute, charming, and fun experience. I like how Sandler's friends with a gay couple, and the movie's actually pretty normal about that. Steve Buscemi has a lot of funny moments, and the way everything culminates and plays out at the courthouse is really sweet and satisfying. I honestly don't have that much to say. This was just pretty good. Obviously a little rough around the edges, but still a very adorable and genuine feeling time.
Oh, look! George Clooney's.
J. Kelly, the final movie I watched for the Adam Sandler ranking. Don't worry, I didn't have to wait for the Netflix release. I watched it back in October at the Philly Film Festival. What a unique experience, getting to join a festival audience with refined taste, who are all here to watch Adam Sandler on the big screen. Okay, to be fair, the star of the movie, George Clooney, and the director, Noah Baumbach, are also pretty responsible for that. Yes, this is the second collaboration between Sandler and Baumbach. But unfortunately, I didn't really like it as much as Meyerowitz Stories, or really any of Noah's other films I've seen. I thought this one was pretty good, but it definitely could have been better. George Clooney plays a famous movie star who could totally be interpreted as a reflection of the actor who plays him. This guy, J. Kelly, is forced to come to terms with the choices he made, and how much he regrets not being a part of his daughter's lives in their formative years. And there's more regret to go around, since Adam Sandler plays his longtime manager, who remains fiercely loyal, even as he starts to question whether he and Jay are truly friends. Both of the lead actors in this movie are very good, though I don't know if their performances really wowed me to the point where I think they need Oscar nominations for this. I mean, I want Adam Sandler to be an Oscar nominee, so if this is the movie that gets him in, then by all means. And like I said, he is very good. It's not a super flashy performance, but it's a nice, understated, dependable one. He's immensely likable and sympathetic. Far more so than Jay himself, honestly. And therein lies my main problem with the film. I couldn't help thinking to myself over and over again while watching it, damn, Sandler is the story here. His character is the heart of the movie. He's the one who sacrifices so much of his life and time with his family for the sake of appeasing Jay and his whims. I genuinely felt so bad for him watching every personal failure and potential life path that was closed off to him because he had to be there for Jay, who really should have been more of a supporting presence. Because while there are a couple of scenes where I did feel for him, I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't really that many. Yeah, it's sad that his daughters don't want anything to do with him nowadays, but they both turned out fine, while he's one of the biggest movie stars on the planet. I'm just struggling to really get that invested in his sorrow. It all comes with this unshakable woe is me feeling, while others have it so much worse. Not just regular people in general, but in this movie. Adam Sandler's character, Laura Dern's character. I don't know why the rich and famous actor needed the brunt of this movie's focus and sympathy. When it works, it really works though. There's a scene where he's talking on the phone in the woods that was really effective, and the best scene in the film comes right towards the beginning with Billy Crudup's character. He doesn't get a lot of screen time, but this scene at the bar with him is fantastic, and its shadow looms over the entire rest of the movie. The guilt Jay feels from that whole situation was easier to empathize with compared to the daughter stuff, but I still don't know if it was that well fleshed out. At the end of the day, I still think this movie is good, but a lot of it feels like stuff that was done way better in BoJack Horseman. Now that's a story that portrayed the sheer emptiness that a rich famous actor holds inside in a much more easily sympathetic manner, even if he is a terrible person. I know it's somewhat unfair to compare a TV character we spend 6 seasons with to a movie character with only 2 hours to his name, but I think it's a good way of expressing that Jay just isn't nearly as fleshed fleshed out as he needs to be for a story like this to fully land. It has plenty of good moments. It's funny, the performances definitely work. It's a pretty good movie overall. But I kind of expected more from Noah Baumbach. The message here is pretty on the nose, and the dialogue isn't his usual brand of sharp either. I did really like the last line of the film though, that was pretty clever. And in terms of the Sandler-ness of it all, it's certainly another nice dramatic credit to his name, but I wouldn't even put it in the top 5 best Sandler performances. Still, it's nice he has an auteur in his corner who wants to keep working with him. I hope they cook up another movie together soon.
Moose is in the house! Moose is in the house!
The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle is a really good movie, and I'm tired of pretending it's not. The amount of hate this film gets deeply baffles me. I mean, I've never seen the original Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons, so I can't say if this captures their essence all that well, but like, it sure seems like it. The writing is so consistently wacky, and the movie just has this wonderful, tremendous sense of energy to it that so many Sandler features we're gonna talk about lack. Now, yes, I will concede that obviously the CGI designs of Rocky and Bullwinkle aren't great, but for the year 2000, you can't deny they're ambitious. And honestly, they're not the ugliest looking things in the world. A lot of CGI creatures today look way uglier, come on now. And the villains from the original cartoon, who are brought to life with tremendous actors. Robert De Niro, Jason Alexander, this lady whose name I know, they all absolutely kill it. I mean, Robert De Niro even produced this movie, because apparently he's a huge Rocky and Bullwinkle head. Who knew? And the amount of cameos this damn movie has, with so many of them being fun and memorable, I mean, it almost feels like a Muppet movie at times. There's Whoopi Goldberg, Billy Crystal, Jonathan Winters, Keenan and Kel. Look me in the eye and tell me this isn't a great cameo. Come on.
But she really is with the FBI.
Yeah, and I'm really John Goodman. Let's get in the car.
Actually, come to think of it, it's kind of funny how Billy Crystal and John Goodman both cameo in this movie a year before they would star together in Monsters, Inc. That's cute. This movie is also such an endearing time capsule of the year 2000. What with its cute, simplistic depiction of the internet, and how it promotes fax machines as a cool new piece of tech. I mean, I guess it's pretty new to Rocky and Bullwinkle, who haven't gotten a glimpse of the real world since the 60s. Bullwinkle sees a protest on a college campus and asks if it's a civil rights protest. I don't even know what to think about that. But actually, the protest is an anti-moose rally because they don't want Bullwinkle to receive an honorary degree from the college. Okay? But the honorary degree thing is just a trap that the villain set up so they can kill him with this machine that traps cartoon characters in the internet. And do you want to know what this machine is called? Are you prepared for the awesome knowledge of what the abbreviation for this device is? It is known as the Computer Degenerating Imagery, or the CDI. There are so many damn lines in this movie where the villains talk about needing to use the CDI. I have been waiting my whole life for a movie like this. Holy shit, it's so funny every time I hear it. And keep in mind, this movie came out after the Philips CDI, so they didn't even originate it. The CDI already existed, and they still went with this acronym. Oh man, I love cinema. Is the movie perfect? No, I think eventually Bullwinkle's thick-headedness and antics can run a bit thin. And sometimes the film can really stall for a while, like when they get tied up in this court case. But for the most part, this shit is awesome. It's a lot funnier and wackier than almost all of the contemporary entries in the CGI characters go to the real world and get in a car with a live-action human subgenre. And I honestly find it ridiculous that it was not only critically panned at the time, but still sits at a mere 2.3 average rating on Letterboxd. Are you kidding me? Are you out of your minds? I just can't picture so many people disliking this film to such an extent. Like, what are you people not getting out of this movie? It's not perfect, but man, is it so much better than so much of the shit we're gonna go through for this f***ing video. Oh my god. Oh, wait a minute. I guess I forgot to check before writing and getting this whole segment edited if Adam Sandler is actually in this movie. Let me see. No, he is not. Well, too late to take this part of the video out now. Maybe now you'll think twice about dissing The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle since I've made it clear how many Adam Sandler movies it ranks above. Okay, now back to the actual movies that count for this list. sigh.
This friendship is over!
You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah is a Nepo Baby starring vehicle I can get behind. Seriously, Sandler made this so his teenage daughter could star in her own Jewish coming-of-age movie, and I honestly think that's really sweet. He's obviously in this as the dad of her character, and he's a nice dependable presence that doesn't draw focus away from his daughter Sunny in the lead role. She plays a girl named Stacy who is having her bat mitzvah very soon. But then her friend gets together with the boy she likes, and she gets mad, saying the titular line, "You are so not invited to my bat mitzvah."
You are so...
Truly epic. Yeah, from there, the movie's a pretty typical coming-of-age story. They fight, they become friends again, they split up again. It's got a lot of that signature drama I'm sure a lot of girls remember from middle school. It is fairly cliche, but pretty fun and endearing nonetheless. I think Stacy's a pretty good protagonist, and Sunny Sandler gives a pretty solid performance. It's nothing outstanding, and the girl who plays her friend definitely outacts her in every scene they're both in. But it's not a competition. I think Sunny might have a bright future and career ahead of her. Adam Sandler also has an older daughter who plays the older sister character in this. And there's this great running bit with her and her friend and or girlfriend constantly getting recommended movies by these guys, angrily telling them, yeah, we've seen it, and then watching them for the first time in the next scene. They're just always watching a movie on their phone, even at parties. And I don't know, I just found that so funny. There's honestly a lot of decently funny side characters, like this goofy rabbi lady, or this DJ who shows up at every bat mitzvah for some reason. The Sandman himself is funny in this, and we even get Adele Dazeem playing his wife. Way to hit me with that sweet, uncut gems nostalgia. Yeah, it's a pretty typical middle school coming-of-age movie at the end of the day, but it's cute and sweet, and I wanted the girls to get back together in the end. It's crazy how this is one of the better Adam Sandler movies, and all he had to do was not be in it that much and just let his daughter take the focus. Breath of fresh air compared to a lot of the shit on this list, let me tell ya.
Oh, when it's your wedding day.
You know, back when I first watched The Wedding Singer, long before starting this dumbass ranking, I thought it was okay. As someone who hadn't seen many Adam Sandler comedies, a lot of the crude humor here kinda got on my nerves. I didn't really care for the mild transphobia and the old lady talking about her sexual partners and the scene where children grab the asses of the adults and are not discouraged from doing so. Then there's the cliche elements. Oh man, I wonder if these two are gonna get together even though she's with a guy who's a big jerk. Oh no, there's the third act breakup that feels especially forced here. It's like the one time they ever have a negative interaction in the whole movie. It just comes out of nowhere. Oh no, later he sees her in the window looking so happy about her upcoming wedding. Except she was actually imagining that she was marrying him. I promise I don't hate rom-coms, I just find a lot of the cliches and miscommunications annoying. I know these elements were less cliche when the movie came out, but it still doesn't really prevent the third act from being borderline comical in terms of the things keeping these two from getting together. My eyes just kind of glazed over during much of the third act, I'm sorry. But the more used to the crude elements of Adam Sandler comedies you get, the more you start to appreciate their positive elements that largely stem from what a natural and charismatic actor he is. His chemistry with Drew Barrymore in this one especially is so natural and so likable. This obviously isn't my favorite collaboration between the two of them. I think 50 First Dates just had a more interesting story, but they're such a great pair in this one. I love when that one lady assumes they're a couple and they don't even go like, what? No, we're not, Baka. They're just so in sync that they start playfully teasing her and pretending they're siblings instead. They're so fun to watch as a pair, and you really do care about them getting together and getting her away from this creep. I like how her fiance just straight up tells Adam Sandler that he cheats on her constantly and intends to keep cheating on her even after they're married. It's such a great display of callousness considering how he probably doesn't even expect Sandler to tell her. He sees women as objects rather than people, and he just naturally assumes any other guy like Sandler would feel the same way. It's a good bit of characterization for this creep. I also like this little detail where Sandler mentions his ex-fiancée never gave him the window seat when they flew to a new place he'd never been. So Barrymore tries it on her fiancé, and sure enough, he doesn't either. There's a lot of good little details like that in this movie. And as much as I could say that I don't like the humor in the first 30 minutes, or the melodrama in the last 30 minutes, I think ultimately, at its core, the relationship between the two leads is very strong, and I did really want to see it work out in the end. The main reason I like this movie is the ending on the plane. It's really funny how invested Billy Idol and all the other first-class people get in his plight, and that song he sings to her Alright, I'll admit it. That actually made me cry. It actually did it. Take that, Big Daddy. Yeah, this movie is likable, it's sincere, it's occasionally funny. It may not always be my cup of tea, but I can definitely see why it's a fan favorite.
I'm Leo, I'm a lizard.
The only thing I knew about Leo going into it was this scene at the end where this lady sees a bunch of Leo faces superimposed onto these children. That clip is seriously the funniest shit, and I was so excited to finally learn the context and discover how we get to this point. Unfortunately, Leo surprisingly had even more to offer than just this one funny moment. I think it's a lovely little film that was a lot sweeter than I expected. Leo is a class pet who believes he's about to reach the end of his lifespan, so he wants to go out and see the world. Except he ends up finding purpose in revealing to these kids that he can talk and giving them advice to help them with their problems. It's just really sweet. I think Leo's a pretty likable character, and these kids he talks to are fun as well. I also enjoy Leo's humorous interactions with the Bill Burr turtle he's friends with. There are some other cute bits, like this drone who has to keep one of the kids safe at all times, who ends up falling in love with the turtle, or the fact that the kindergartners in this are animated like disturbing little creatures. It's a film with a good sense of energy and creativity to it, which I honestly wasn't expecting. It's maybe a little repetitive and predictable at times, but overall it's a pretty decent, borderline good film. Why borderline good, you might be wondering? It sounds like I really enjoyed it. Well, there is one kinda major problem I neglected to mention. Leo is a musical. And not just that, a bad one. I was honestly kind of taken aback at how legitimately awful almost every song in this movie is. I mean, they're not melodic, they don't flow, they just stop and start seemingly at random. Sometimes the character will sing one line, or even just one word, and then the scene will move on without any more singing. You really have to f*** up pretty badly for me to say that something shouldn't be a musical. But damn it, this one kinda broke me. I think I only enjoyed one song in the whole film, which is this lullaby Leo sings that has terrible lyrics on purpose for comedic effect. Most of the songs are meant to convey sincerity though, and on that level, they just completely fail. Overall, I think Leo is a fine family film. It didn't change my life or anything, but I guess I prefer when these Sandler flicks aren't allowed to be as crass and offensive as possible. It means he actually has to put jokes in his movies. And this one has some pretty decent ones, on top of a pretty charming story. Plus, who could forget the iconic scene where George Costanza sings a mediocre song in 10-second increments about getting his daughter extra time on a test as a bunch of living clock people provide backup dancing. What a great movie.
Welcome to the team, Waterboy.
The Waterboy is kinda just Happy Gilmore if it starred Forrest Gump. But you know what? I still kinda liked it. It's not nearly as funny as Happy Gilmore, but I feel like it weirdly had a sweeter emotional core to it. I wasn't really expecting that based on the pretty ho-hum first 20 minutes, which just sets up how this water boy for a football team is actually a really good player. Whoa, no way. And he's doing an annoying voice. Oh goody, those are my favorite Adam Sandler performances. But honestly, I started to warm up to the voice and the movie itself as it went on. Bobby is another very genuine character of his, who I wanted to see succeed. His mother is initially very controlling and kinda irritating, but then I started to warm up to her too. Kathy Bates gives a genuinely really strong performance, and I actually felt some sympathy for her by the end. I mean, how can you not be charmed by the sight of her doing that little dance on the sidelines during the football game? That shit put the biggest smile on my face. There are some solid laughs here too, like Henry Winkler is pretty funny in this, and I also like that one professor who keeps getting hurt. I like how the love interest in this always wants to kill people. That's pretty different and fun. It's still a sports movie, so it's not fully my cup of tea. And of course you've got Rob Schneider doing I don't even know what face. But for the most part, it's a very earnest and likable film. Not the funniest or most interesting thing in the world, but I don't know. I thought it was sweet when the scoreboard said he loves his mama at the end. Pretty nice watch, but I couldn't help but think how much I would have rather just watched Happy Gilmore again.
And I got 4 dear friends.
For some reason, a lot of people seem to like Grown Ups. I heard weirdly good things about it from people online and IRL. It has a 3.2 average on Letterboxd, which might as well be the score for The Godfather by Adam Sandler comedy standards. Was I completely won over? Do I completely see the hype for this misunderstood masterpiece of a film? It's okay. I think the main striking element of this film to note is that It just doesn't have a plot. 5 dudes who went to school together return for their coach's funeral, enjoying a nice lakeside vacation with all their families, and that's pretty much it. It's just a movie where Adam Sandler and his friends vibe on vacation, and they decided to film said vacation. The movie presents potential conflicts, like Adam Sandler wanting to downplay how rich he and his family are in order to fit in with his old friends. But they don't go anywhere with that, or any of the other potential conflict threads. That would ruin our fun vacation movie, and we can't have that. So instead, the movie is pretty much all vibes. They have fun with their families, go to a water park, act pervy towards younger women. Yeah, it's all par for the course here at Sandlerville. Obviously, it's not the greatest comedy in the world, but it honestly made me laugh quite a few times, so I do gotta give it credit for that. I think focusing on the friends' camaraderie is a smart idea since they just have natural chemistry with each other. Hell, even Rob Schneider is tolerable in this one. Not good, I want you to understand that. He's tolerable. Yeah, you keep waiting for any sort of plot to kick in, but it never does. And eventually, I kinda became okay with that. I was just having a fun time with my friends Adam Sandalwood, Marty the Zebra, and Paul Blart Mall Cop. I enjoyed a ton of the little recurring jokes and bits in this. Yeah, I'll say it, I thought the breast milk drinking 4-year-old was funny. I'm brave like that. Eventually, the movie decides to have a third act breakup where people get mad at each other and whatnot, but even then, they get over it pretty quickly because they're all such good friends. Sometimes, it's alright to have a movie where people just hang out and there's no real conflict. I wouldn't say I love it or think it's fully good. Some scenes can be pretty dumb and others pretty misogynistic, but overall, it's a perfectly decent little time. I can see why a lot of people dig it. I mean, at least it's not Grown Ups 2, am I right, fellas? Oh, would you look at that? Adam Sandler starring in a Walt Disney feature film. You know, as a kid seeing advertisements for this movie, it didn't really strike me as odd since I just thought Adam Sandler was an actor other kids liked. I mean, I wasn't wrong, but that definitely doesn't mean his movies are appropriate for kids generally. This was kind of his first dedicated family feature designed to be enjoyed by younger audiences. Only mildly grazing on some of the typical Sandlerisms of his movies, like wanting to date hot women and generally being a dickhead. Oh, also Rob Schneider plays a Native American in this one. God, he can't even give up the weird racial shtick even in a kid's movie? Is this how you get your sick kicks? Well, whatever. For the most part, Sandler is barred from utilizing all his usual offensive humor tropes. So, what does that mean for this movie? Honestly, it's kind of a breath of fresh air. I thought this one was pretty okay. Definitely not amazing, or even all that good. It certainly pales in comparison to the adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle, despite having a higher score on Letterboxd somehow, which is completely unfathomable to me. But you know what? I had a fun time with it. So Sandler is forced to babysit his niece and nephew, and he tells them bedtime stories. Hey, that's the name of the movie. But then everything the kids add to the stories magically comes to life. Like, they say it's raining gumballs, and then it actually rains gumballs the next day, because a gumball truck crashed right above Adam Sandler. This is a pretty cute premise, and I enjoyed seeing how elements of the stories correlated to stuff that happened in the real world. It was all pretty clever, except when the kid said he would get kicked by a dwarf, and that just led to a dwarf kicking him because he's part of a gang of dwarves who like to kick people. Okay. Yeah, this is cute. And even though Sandler mostly just wants to exploit this for personal gain pretty much the entire time, I think his interactions with these kids are pretty natural and sweet. I like the competition he has to be the new manager of this hotel against Guy Pearce. I like to imagine he's playing a younger version of his character from The Brutalist. I know that doesn't line up with the timeline of either film, but I don't know, why not? Anyway, this was cute and it kept my attention, but it's obviously not without flaw. The CG in these bedtime stories is really rough, as should probably be expected. Russell Brand gets to play Sandler's best friend in this. Genuinely, how did he ever become famous? I don't know a single person who liked Russell Brand even before he was outed as a terminal sex pest. And the climax is extremely rushed and forced. It just becomes this ridiculous scenario where Guy Pearce is gonna blow up the school the kids go to in order to build the hotel. But Adam Sandler convinced his dad to build it somewhere else, and the dad can't get a hold of his son Guy Pearce because because they had all the cell phones on site turned off because they would interfere with the explosion. So this means Adam Sandler has to hijack a motorcycle in order to get there on time to stop the explosion. But also, the kids snuck into the school so they could put up a poster or something to save the school. And nobody is going to check if they're in there because the mom says, hey, my kids are in there. But then Guy Pearce is like, haha, nice try. I'm gonna blow up the school right now because I'm evil. And all of this happens in the span of 5 minutes. It's really weird. Like, they figured they needed some big epic climax for bedtime stories because, I don't know, it's a family film. So there needs to be some action and suspense, even though it really isn't that kind of film throughout the rest of the runtime. Look, I think I'm just happy it's different and not really terrible compared to some of the rest of this certified garbage. I even thought the little mascot gerbil with the big eyes was kinda silly and cute. I'm only human. What do you want from me? Trust me, there's way more suffering to come.
Kindly deeds.
Okay, so believe it or not, I actually have some moderately interesting lore related to the 2002 Adam Sandler film, Mr. Deeds. Back in 8th grade, I was cast in my high school's production of Annie as the butler Drake. And one of my directors told me, alright James, I want you to go watch this movie and act just like how the butler in it does. Specifically, he wanted me to pop up in the most random places for comedic effect. So I watched the movie with my parents, and the butler was pretty funny, but other than that, I did not care for the movie that much. I did get praise for my performance in Annie though, so I guess the research I put in was worth it. The crazy thing too is that watching this movie 13 years later again, I actually thought it was alright. Maybe that's because I had to endure so much other shit for this ranking that this just looks a whole lot better in comparison. But yeah, I don't know. Even on its own, it's a fine enough movie. There isn't that much of the typical lowest common denominator Sandler humor here. Well, okay, the butler seems to have a foot fetish, and that's the only thing I don't like about his character. Aside from that, and a couple other annoying jokes, this really isn't all that bad. I think it helps that Sandler is actually pretty likable here. Like, I just thought he was a really nice, upstanding guy, and I liked seeing him want to help everyone. There's a liar reveal plotline, but it's actually a different character lying to him. And I felt bad because I didn't want to see him hurt. What the hell? Why is he such a nice guy in this? This was the same year 8 Crazy Nights came out and the main guy in that movie sucks dick! Yeah, anyway though, Winona Ryder plays his love interest, who's really a reporter lying to him to try and get a scoop. And yeah, she's good in this. I like the terrible fake acting her character does a lot, and I weirdly believed that she was falling for Mr. Deeds. Oh yeah, I guess I haven't explained the plot yet. So this is actually a remake of an old-ass movie made by the same director as It's a Wonderful Life. I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that that movie is probably better than this remake. But yeah, Mr. Deeds had a great uncle who passed away and left him $40 billion in inheritance. And the money doesn't change him or anything, he's just chill and generous the whole time. While also not being afraid to fight people who disrespect him or his friends. Of course, there are nefarious sleazeballs trying to manipulate him, but for the most part, the movie is just him vibing and having a good time in NYC, despite it all. It can be a little aimless sometimes, and there are definitely some stupid moments here and there. He actually successfully talks almost all the evil businessmen out of firing this whole company and becoming ultra rich. I didn't realize this was a fantasy film, but okay. And then they find out that the butler actually inherited this entire empire and fortune because he was secretly the rich guy's son. And no one found that out because no one checked the rich guy's diary. Sure. Ultimately though, it's a fine enough movie. Pretty harmless, not nearly as tasteless as a bunch of other Sandler flicks. I am savoring this part of the ranking where I'm talking about movies that are just okay. Let me tell you.
Everybody ought to have a maid.
Spanglish is an odd part of the Sandler catalog, since it's absolutely a real movie compared to a lot of the other shit he stars in, but it's not quite a real movie on the same level of, say, Uncut Gems.
Holy shit, I'm gonna shit.
It's a somewhat uneven, yet decently sweet dramedy about a Mexican woman becoming a housemaid for this rich family in order to support her daughter, and kinda sorta falling in love with the husband of the family, played by Sandler. Don't worry, his wife was cheating on him, so it's okay for him to do it back, I think. Well, regardless, there is kind of a sweet chemistry between these two characters. Sandler gives a very down-to-earth and sympathetic performance, and I really bought his heartbreak upon finding out that his wife was cheating. The movie has a handful of really compelling and dramatically potent scenes, as well as plenty of humorous bits. Like when the woman needs her daughter to translate in an argument with Sandler, and the two of them do all the same mannerisms. It's a pretty decent watch, but I nonetheless found it a little bit meandering and aimless at times. It didn't always flow that well, sometimes it could feel a little too melodramatic, dramatic. And I know this was intentional, but Sandler's wife character in this is just insufferable, to the point where her scenes are a little hard to watch. I don't know. It's not the most compelling watch in the world or anything, and I could see why others might not like it that much. I wouldn't even say the main woman gets that much characterization compared to the white characters, which is kinda rough, but it's really not half bad overall.
Things like Drac.
I'm gonna try to keep my discussion on the Hotel Transylvania movies quick, because they're the only ones I already talked about in a video. A 4-year-old video to be precise. But honestly, there isn't much new to say about them. My favorite is still Hotel Transylvania 2, because I feel like the conflict here is the most interesting. I like seeing Drac try and grapple with the fact that his grandson might not be a vampire. I feel a little bad watching him and Mavis butt heads over how the kid should be raised. The vibes here with Drac and his friends taking the kid on the road trip and trying all sorts of things to get his fangs to come out is pretty fun. I like how set in his ways Drac is, while all his friends are adapting to this new way of living. Seeing Mavis get overexcited at mundane human things was also really sweet. It's a pretty fun time with decent characters, though the plot is definitely a little lopsided, and I would have liked it if Mel Brooks's Vlad was more important throughout the entire film. It just feels like they convince him to like humans way too easily, and having the main villain just be his random underling is a little lame and forgettable. Hell, I didn't even remember this character existed until this rewatch. That's another thing I wanted to mention. Sorry if this is a tangent, but sometimes people express surprise when I rewatch a movie I've already seen for a ranking. Oh, I didn't think he would rewatch the Hotel Transylvania movies. Bitch, I rewatch everything. I'm not relying on memory to judge if a movie I saw over a year ago still holds up to my modern sensibilities. The only time I didn't rewatch something for a video was Ralph Breaks the Internet for my Disney 2010s ranking, since I knew for a fact it wasn't ranking higher than anything else. Otherwise, I'm a professional. It would be insane if I just took my thoughts on the Hotel Transylvania movies from 4 years ago and rehashed them here without rewatching the movie to see if my feelings changed at all. With that said, yeah, my feelings really didn't change on any of these. Murder Mystery. Wow, real imaginative title. This one was also kind of fine. Adam Sandler and Jennifer Aniston play a couple who are kind of on the rocks and go on a European vacation, only to get roped up in a titular murder mystery. Aww, the inciting incident is that this old guy is revoking his family's inheritance and giving it to this one young lady because he wants all of them to make it on their own. Aww, this movie came out in 2019. We have Knives Out at home, guys, trust. Sure, the interesting themes and compelling characters from that movie aren't really here, but at least we have Sandler and Aniston quipping at every little thing that happens. Even though I didn't really laugh at most of the things they said, their chemistry is pretty good, and they're likable enough to the point where I wasn't really having an awful time. The mystery unravels in decently fun and interesting ways. There are some actually neat set pieces. Basically what I'm trying to say is this really could have been a hell of a lot worse. It's perfectly watchable and, dare I say, mildly kind of fun. I don't know. I don't really have that much else to say. It was alright. Could have been worse. Next.
All the convoluted reasons we pretend to be divorced.
Just Go With It is the third installment in the Adam Sandler Goes to Hawaii trilogy. It's a shame Paul Thomas Anderson had to drop out after the first installment, but, you know, the guy who directed Jack and Jill is a suitable replacement. In this movie, Adam Sandler wants to get with this girl, but due to a misunderstanding, she assumes he's married, and he has to go enlist his coworker's help in pretending to be his ex-wife. Then her kids get involved, and the lies continue to spiral out of control. It's kind of like Dear Evan Hansen if it wasn't terrible. I definitely enjoyed quite a few aspects of it, like it's nice to see Sandler bond with these kids, and then just toss them aside when his love interest isn't looking. I like when he's negotiating with them, and how the little girl wants to talk in a British accent the whole time. And like, obviously Sandler's gonna fall for his coworker, Jennifer Aniston. That's how rom-coms work. But I really like how the love interest he's pursuing the whole movie isn't a bad person. She's just a nice lady that he doesn't end up with in the end, and that's fine. Hell, for a movie all about lying, I kinda like how the lie doesn't get revealed at the end. Nobody's getting hurt by these lies anyway, so there's no reason to squeeze every last bit of forced conflict that we can out of them. Also, Nicole Kidman is in this movie for some reason, and her scenes are pretty funny. What can I say? Heartbreak feels good in a place like this. This movie also has those nice vacation vibes that make other Sandler films, like Grown Ups, more pleasant than they would be otherwise. However, there's a lot about this one I don't particularly care for. I haven't mentioned Nick Swardson that much until now. He's apparently in a lot of Sandler films, but he just never really left an impression on me until I watched this one. That is not a compliment. His character is so damn annoying in this, with that dumbass German accent he puts on. None of his jokes are funny, and he really drags the film down whenever he appears. I guess I should just be happy it wasn't brown-faced Rob Schneider as the plucky sidekick this time around, but I don't know. I think I would have much preferred Kevin James or David Spade over this guy. This movie also feels way more male-gazy than even a typical Adam Sandler movie does. Like, I don't usually complain about that since it comes with the territory, but this one is really excessive. The main character trait of the love interest is that she's hot. Sure, Sandler says he has a connection with her, but the main thing the movie keeps emphasizing about her is that she's hot and she's young. Truly riveting writing. But then Jennifer Aniston comes out in a bikini and it turns out she's hot. Why does the movie act like this is a big reveal? Like, yeah, no shit. Don't even get me started on the hula scene with the sexual coconut positions. I'm not elaborating on that. Ultimately, I also think the movie is a little too long and a tad too aimless for its own good. There's just a little too much going on with a few too many lies to keep track of that they don't take full comedic advantage of for wacky misunderstandings and hijinks. It's an okay movie with a premise that I could see making for a pretty solid flick if it was done by not the director of Jack and Jill.
If I can prove that I never touched my balls.
Hotel Transylvania the First. I guess this movie is popular and people like it and it spawned a huge franchise or whatever. I don't know, man. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. Parts of it are definitely pretty solid, but for the most part, it's not really my thing. I think the most impressive thing about these movies, and especially this first film, is how unrecognizable Sandler is as Dracula. Like, aside from a couple of recognizable inflections here and there, he really just disappears into this role. It's kinda crazy. Even in Uncut Gems, the voice he's doing is unmistakably Sandler. But this has gotta be his most unrecognizable voice performance, aside from maybe Eleanor in 8 Crazy Nights. These movies are also obviously directed by Genndy Tartakovsky of Fixed fame. He also did Samurai Jack and Dexter's Lab in the 2003 Clone Wars, but you know, who cares? You can tell he really has a knack for cartoony expression and movements. But I hate to say it, for me this movie kinda goes too far in a few places. Sometimes the movement is so fast and frenetic that it just feels like brain rot. I don't know, I might lose some of you here, but there is such a thing as too cartoony in my opinion. And I feel like once you get too cartoony, it becomes more annoying than appealing. I definitely like a couple bits of the animation here. Like, there are some great facial expressions. I love that one shot where Drac and Johnny are walking in the catacombs. Drac's walk cycle is good here. I like the walk cycle. It's funny. The other voice actors are also pretty good. Well, actually, Selena Gomez is a little stiff in this, but she gets better in the sequels. I forgot how funny Andy Samberg is as Johnny, too. He gets some good laughs. I just think the story is kinda blah blah blah. Typical kids movie stuff. The emotional moments are fine, but also a bit shoved in there. Like, the characters are doing all sorts of wacky shenanigans, and then Dracula suddenly says, "Haha, Jonathan, you are going to hear about the trauma I endured after my wife was murdered." Yeah, I reused that joke from the Sony ranking. What of it? Overall, this movie's fine. A little bit annoying and a little bit immature at times. But you know what? I've seen worse from Sony, and I've seen worse from Sandler.
Dude, those people are so fucking funny!
Oh, funny people. I've seen a lot of people praise this one as one of Adam Sandler's sleeper best movies and performances. A film that potentially gives an interesting look at his psyche and how he perceives himself. The main character of this movie is basically Adam Sandler, someone who's beloved for all sorts of terrible comedies, but who deep down isn't really proud of that legacy. And in this movie, he's dying of a terminal illness and has to come to terms with his relationship with his friends, family, and fans, only confiding in this new aspiring comedian he meets, Seth Rogen. Don't get me wrong, there's obviously a lot of similarities between the character George Simmons and Adam Sandler who plays him. But like, this is a Judd Apatow movie. He wrote and directed it, and he was a stand-up comedian before making movies. I feel like George Simmons is more of an amalgamation of Apatow and Sandler, but specifically from Apatow's point of view. This seems more to me like him reflecting on his life and what an asshole he might have been in the past, with Sandler just being a vehicle to get this across. I'm not gonna look at All That Jazz and say, boy, that Roy Schneider sure sees himself as a dick and has a morbid fixation on his own death. Like, that's obviously Bob Fosse putting all that on the screen, with Schneider being the actor getting the writer-director's vision across. Anyway, let's actually talk about the movie itself now. It is, like, really close to being good. Hell, even great. Sandler gives a very natural dramatic performance, and I like his chemistry with Rogen a lot. Hell, there's a lot of other funny people in this ensemble. Jason Schwartzman and Jonah Hill are pretty good as Rogen's roommates. Aubrey Plaza is good as the girl he's kinda into. There's a lot of other fun cameos from other comedians. Even Bo Burnham appears as an extra in this, back when he was a little baby. The film is honestly decently compelling for a while, especially in the quieter, more somber moments where Sandler reflects on the life he lived. It's not perfect, sometimes the comedy can get in the way of a sweet dramatic bit, and all the parts where the characters do stand up are not all that funny. Hell, for a movie called Funny People, I don't really think it's all that comedically. The hardest I laughed was at a joke about Kramer less than 10 minutes in, and there were some other laughs here and there later on, but it's just not the funniest thing in the world as a whole. That's okay though, because it is very likable and charming and strangely emotionally effective. I was like, okay, I see what other people are saying. This might just be up there as one of the best Adam Sandler movies. And then it just keeps going. This movie is 2.5 hours long. The longest Adam Sandler movie by a landslide. And it's like, Judd Apatow, honey, where do you get the gall to do that? His writing is good and his direction is solid in this, but not to the point where it deserves to get stretched out to this degree. Here's the thing. I already knew that the big turning point of this movie was gonna be that he didn't actually die. I read Letterboxd taglines for a living sometimes, and this one said, George Simmons was prepared to die. But then a funny thing happened. Well, okay, I guess he doesn't die then. If that's the tagline you're marketing the movie with, then I guess it's not a twist. Why does it take an hour and a half for him to get better then? Surely some of that could have been trimmed if his behavior in the second half plays a large part in what the film is trying to say. I don't mind long movies when the length is justified, but Judd, you're not Scorsese, buddy. There's a lot in this first half of the movie that doesn't go anywhere in the second half, making it feel pretty unnecessary to the whole picture. But I could have forgiven a lot of this movie's issues if the second half just wasn't so boring. The last hour of this movie is just a dumb little rom-com where Sandler tries to win over his old love who is now married after he cheated on her. The idea here is that he's still an asshole even after getting a second chance on life, since he doesn't care if pursuing her breaks up her family. I mean, her husband is an asshole who cheats on her as well, so it's not the strongest indictment of Sandler's character, but he's still being a dick since he's actively rooting for a divorce that would make these two children's lives worse. The thing is though, this is what the entire second half of the movie is. An hour dedicated to nothing but this family and whether the wife will choose Sandler or Bruce Banner. And I just don't care. She's not an interesting character. In fact, she's kind of needlessly goofy and annoying a lot of the time. I would have so much rather seen Sandler act dickish to everyone in his life and keep the tone consistent with the first half. Because this is just an entirely different and much worse movie. The resolution where Sandler makes up with Rogen after like 5 minutes of moping and being apart doesn't feel earned either. It's just a needlessly self-indulgent movie. It does not need to drag on for this long. Yes, it is very good for a while, and Sandler is great in it the whole way through. But this isn't even close to one of his best movies, or even best performances. I liked parts of it, but I have no need to ever see all of it again.
Oh, I'm Sandy, alright.
I'm weirdly conflicted about Sandy Wexler. It's a real oddball compared to the other disposable, straight-to-Netflix Adam Sandler comedies, in the sense that it really felt like they were actually trying to make something genuinely sincere here. Sandy Wexler, played by Adam Sandler, oh no way, he's in this movie? Anyway, he's a pretty pitiful Hollywood agent in the 90s who doesn't really have a lot of talented clients. Until he discovers this amazing singer played by Jennifer Hudson. That's not someone you see as the co-lead in an Adam Sandler movie every day, and her performance here is pretty good and likable. Sandy starts out as her manager and doesn't do a particularly good job of it because he's a typical annoying Adam Sandler character. What do you expect? But he comes to the mature conclusion that he might be holding her back. and he stops working with her without ever really letting her know the reason. So the years go by as they fall in and out of touch, all as there's a lot of romantic tension and lingering regrets in the air between them. I was honestly surprised at how genuine and heartfelt the film could be when it wanted to. Like, I bought their connection and wanted them to get together at the end. There are also some good jokes here, like when Sandy talks about his former best friend Alfred, who he thought he was also holding back, and then his friend shows up at the end and it turns out it was Weird Al the whole time. Sorry for spoiling the best joke in the movie, but let's be honest, you weren't gonna watch it anyway. That's because, despite its good elements, this movie is still a shitty Adam Sandler comedy at the end of the day. Tons of offensive jokes that aren't funny, it's way too overly long and pretty aimless whenever it's not focused on Sandler and Hudson's relationship. Rob Schneider is in full-on brownface in the year 2017. It's not really a movie I can wholeheartedly call good or recommend to anyone in all honesty. I just think it's strangely emotional and kind of compelling in ways you won't expect going in for a couple of fleeting moments and scenes. Oh yeah, I also forgot to mention, there's a lot of celebrity cameos, which is an element I'm pretty mixed on. Most of them are these talking head interviews that pop up over the course of the movie. And on the one hand, it's a little cringe seeing all these people who probably just owed Adam Sandler a favor showing up here. And goddamn, Jimmy Kimmel cannot act to save his life. But on the other hand, having this boatload of celebrities talk about what a force Sandy Wexler was in the 90s kinda adds some authenticity and weight to the story. I really don't know how to feel about this movie, man. Sandy himself is kind of annoying, but then he's a guy I want to root for. I was kind of bored for most of it, but there were also a few scenes where I really enjoyed myself. It's not really a good movie, but then I think about it for a minute, and it kind of is? At least compared to all this other shit. Maybe I just have Stockholm Syndrome. Yeah, that must be it. I don't know. I guess all the emotions I felt from Sandy Wexler can also be felt tenfold in Punch Drunk Love. So maybe just watch that movie again. Alright, we gotta move on now.
Put them in a blender and hit frappe.
Blended is the final installment in the Adam Sandler dates Drew Barrymore trilogy. And it definitely isn't nearly as beloved or iconic as The Wedding Singer or 50 First Dates. Yeah, it's not hard to see why. This movie isn't awful, but it is kind of just go with it again. It's yet another movie where Sandler, a bunch of kids, and a lady friend he doesn't want to fall in love with abruptly go on vacation in the middle of the movie. Except this time it's in Africa instead of Hawaii. It's just kind of a tired formula at this point, especially when you combine it with the typical rom-com antics of them not getting along, but oh boy, you know they're gonna get along by the end. The scenarios that lead to awkward romantic moments are pretty forced. Hell, the whole reason they go on vacation together is kind of forced. Sandler is a widower with 3 daughters, and Barrymore is divorced with 2 sons. And wouldn't you know it, Sandler's boss was trying to take Barrymore's co-worker out with his 5 kids on a romantic African vacation, specifically for blended families. That is truly wild that he had the same amount of kids as the 2 of them combined, and he didn't mention to either of them that the other one was gonna be on this vacation. That doesn't really matter that much to the film overall. I just thought it was ludicrous. Anyway, the movie is loaded with all sorts of shenanigans, like an ostrich riding competition, and rhinos humping each other. The movie also really likes making fun of Sandler's oldest daughter for looking androgynous and having a flat chest. That's a new one for these movies. There are occasional sweet moments, like Barrymore bonding with Sandler's youngest daughter, but almost every moment of actual sincerity in this movie is undercut with a joke that isn't funny. They don't want you to feel anything. Because if you feel something, then how will you laugh? This movie's gotta be funny all the time, so let's have Terry Crews and a random African choir make lame jokes at the end of emotional moments. I swear, this movie isn't that bad though. Obviously, the 2 leads have good chemistry. There are some decent jokes, and the vibes are pretty good, much like how they are in Just Go With It or Grown Ups. But this one just annoyed me a little bit more. I don't know. I couldn't even admire the novelty of Adam Sandler talking to Joel McHale of Open Season 2 fame, and also Community, I guess. Because his character was just so over-the-top unlikable that I couldn't even be bothered to root against him. Overall, a pretty disappointing end to the trilogy. Though I did kinda like when 10-Second Tom showed up for a cameo. His scene made absolutely no sense if you never watched 50 First Dates, but luckily, I'm a true Sandler head now, so I understand the appeal.
Airheads, they're out of control.
Airheads is a cute, kooky movie about a bumbling rock band who try to get their song on the radio, only to end up accidentally holding the crew at the radio station hostage with water pistols that look like real guns. It's a very fun premise, and the cast is stacked. You got Brendan Fraser as the band leader, Steve Buscemi as the crazy one, and Sandler as the well-meaning idiot of the group. Add on Michael McKean, Chris Farley, Ernie Hudson, I think Kramer was there in the air vents. Beavis and Butthead call into the radio station at one point. Like, I'm pretty sure that was the real Beavis and Butthead. It wasn't just someone doing a voice. Those characters just actually exist in the real world of this movie. There are some funny bits, and the cast is really giving it their all. But unfortunately, I just found this one kind of boring after a while. I just feel like they stretch the premise way too far, and it gets really repetitive. I wouldn't mind if the movie was just extremely funny the whole time, but I only got a couple of laughs and chuckles in between some fairly dry stretches. It seems like this one has its fans, and I'm happy about that. I certainly didn't dislike it, but it kinda just wasn't for me. Murder Mystery 2. Wow, another crazy title from this franchise. Yeah, this one was also fine enough. Definitely a little worse because the shtick is starting to wear thin a bit, but it's still perfectly watchable, I suppose. Still fine chemistry with the two leads, still some mildly amusing hijinks afoot. There are a couple action scenes that are kinda cute. They bring back a bunch of characters from the previous movie who don't add a whole lot. There's a new inspector character played by an actor I somewhat recognize from other things but can't place the name of. I'm not looking this up, just trust me, I'll think of it. Mark Strong, that's his name, I knew it all along. Yeah, he's decent. You know, there's this one actor, John Connie, whose filmography fascinates me, because if you go to his Letterboxd page, his two most popular films are Black Panther and Civil War, where he plays T'Challa's dad. And then after that, his two most popular films are the live-action Lion King duology, where he plays Rafiki. Then after that, his two most popular movies are the murder mystery duology. It's like, yeah, the two Marvel movies he was in are good, but damn, could someone cast him in a real movie or something? God. He has a really fascinating career as a playwright and actor in South Africa. What's he doing slumming it with Adam Sandler on Netflix in his 80s? Sorry I went on that tangent. It was legitimately far more interesting to me than actually talking about Murder Mystery 2. It's Murder Mystery 1 again, but slightly less fine, but still fine overall. Moving on. I don't know what to think of I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. It's a movie that's every bit as offensive as the vast majority of other Sandler works, and yet it also has some moments where it's kind of sweet and weirdly supportive of gay people. And there's actually quite a few decently funny moments here as well, in between all the tasteless shit. So like, I don't know if it necessarily belongs in the abyss with a ton of other supreme trash on this list, but I would never in my right mind call it a good movie. Let's make that perfectly clear. Sandler and Kevin James play the eponymous Chuck and Larry. And Chuck can't pass on his assets to his children because he forgot to sign a paper when his wife died or something. So he asks his best friend Larry to marry him, just for the sake of letting him pass everything on to his kids. It's the perfect scheme. Except then, Steve Buscemi starts poking his nose around, wanting to make sure they're actually gay. Because if they're not, they're going to prison. Actually, this other guy came by first, and he saw a picture of Chuck with his dead wife, and asked, "Oh, when did you become gay?" This is a reference to the fact that in the universe this movie takes place in, bi people do not exist. That's cool. Anyway, Chuck is kind of sympathetic at the beginning, but wait, hold on, let me check something. Oh my god, I've been using the wrong names for these characters. This isn't even a bit. I actually just wrote the wrong names for them. Oops. Okay, so Adam Sandler is Chuck, and Kevin James is Larry. Damn. I'm really sorry if I offended the I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry fan base by mixing them up like that. Anyway, Larry is kind of sympathetic, but Chuck is one of the most obnoxious characters Sandler has ever played at the beginning of this movie. He's a raging sexist creep who women still inexplicably love. Even his doctor, who he harasses, which she's disgusted by. But then she goes to his sex dungeon anyway. She didn't need to do that. She makes a doctor's salary. At one point, Chuck really wants to sleep in Larry's bed, and Larry's like, no dude, that's where my wife used to sleep. But Chuck just does it anyway, and then he pretends to be the ghost of Larry's dead wife and mocks him, and it's like, is this funny? Is this comedy to you people? Then they need help from this hot lawyer lady to make sure they don't get thrown in jail, and she doesn't know that he's lying about being gay. So she becomes besties with him and strips to her underwear in front of him and encourages him to feel her boobs. Ladies, is this what you do with your gay friends? Is this accurate? Or did Adam Sandler want some awooga moments written into the script for his character? Don't answer that, I already know. The thing is though, once they start having to deal with homophobes on the street and in their workplace, Larry and especially Chuck start really getting into defending gay people now that they realize how much shit they have to take. They even help the new firefighter on the job, Ving Rhames, come out as gay. And it's not really played for a joke. It's like, oh, that's kind of nice, I guess. The best way I can describe this movie is, it's a little confused, but it's got the spirit. Weirdly enough, I could see it being a helpful tool for a bunch of straight, Sandler-loving dude bros to realize, hey, there's nothing wrong with gay people, and we should just let them be happy. That is not me saying this is some profound, progressive masterpiece. Oh god, no. It's loaded with stereotypes, and like I said, it feels like no one involved in the production of this movie knew what a bi person was. I haven't even gotten into the awful Asian character played by Rob Schneider. Why does he keep doing this? Oh my god. So yeah, this isn't really a good movie, but I weirdly started to get wrapped up in Chuck and Larry's friendship and wanted them to be okay. Especially as it became evident how much they inadvertently made a positive impact in the gay community. I still wouldn't really recommend this movie to anyone with taste, but holy shit, is it the fucking Mona Lisa compared to some of the other garbage we're about to see.
Wearing clown shoes.
Shakes the Clown is one of those movies where you're watching it and you're bored out of your mind because it's aimless and not funny, and it kind of feels like a waste of time because Adam Sandler isn't even the main character. He's one of the main character's friends. But then once the plot actually starts to kick in halfway through the movie, you start to realize, wait, I'm actually kind of enjoying myself now. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's one of those where even though I wasn't really enjoying myself at first, tuning in for the second half kind of made it worth it. The first half really does blow though. We follow Shakes the Clown, played by Bobcat Goldthwait, which is the best name anyone has ever had. He's always drunk, he's unfaithful to his annoying girlfriend, he's honestly just generally not a fun character to follow. I mean, the performance is fine, but the character is just really unpleasant and unlikable. Adam Sandler as one of his clown friends is kinda charming, but he doesn't really do a whole lot or stick out that much. The first half doesn't really have jokes. I mean, the whole comedic conceit is, what if clowns said bad words and did drugs and stuff? Apparently it was a satire of the dysfunctional stand-up comedy circuit that Bobcat had personal experience with. But like, I don't know, the satire doesn't come across that well. It's just clowns being inappropriate in a bunch of mostly disconnected misadventure shenanigans. Oh wow, crazy. Then halfway through, the plot actually starts to kick in, and like I said, I kinda started enjoying myself. The villain clown is played by Tom Kenny, and he accidentally murders a guy, only to frame Shakes for the murder. He then kidnaps Shakes' girlfriend, so it's up to Shakes, Adam Sandler, and you know, the third guy in the friend group, to go save her and stop evil Tom Kenny. It's pretty fun, actually. I like Kenny's performance a lot, and the stakes are high, while also remaining goofy. There's some humorous bits with these two cops, and there's also an out-of-nowhere hilarious Robin Williams cameo as a mime instructor. It's like, okay, how bad can a movie with a Robin Williams mime really be? I still didn't love, or even really like this overall, but I think it ultimately ain't half bad. I mean, one critic called it the Citizen Kane of alcoholic clown movies, and like, how are you gonna argue with that? Name a better alcoholic clown movie. I dare you.
You play as Dracula. Explore over 3 levels.
Hotel Transylvania 3 is one of the worst Pikmin games I have ever played. I mean, for starters, they're not even Pikmin in this game. They're called Impa. That's the wrong series, you dumbass! Anyway, you can tell the budget isn't exactly very high based on the awkward set of freeze frames with low quality models that make up the opening cutscene. It isn't long before you get into the gameplay and start to see a lot of the hallmarks of Pikmin, like having a bunch of creatures following you and commanding them to carry things. And the time limit is even explained by the fact that Drac and Mavis can't go out during the daytime, so you need to do everything you can before the night is over. It's actually pretty clever. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, the islands you explore are pretty linear and standard. There's no in-game map, which makes navigation a huge hassle. And you're forced to listen to these uncanny Adam Sandler and Selena Gomez sound-alikes, which doesn't alleviate the whole cheapness factor whatsoever. The night timer doesn't even pause when you're withdrawing more impas from the onion. What a stupid design decision. Wait a minute. Was I supposed to be talking about the video game Hotel Transylvania 3 Monsters Overboard? That doesn't sound right. Wait, no. I was supposed to talk about the movie Hotel Transylvania 3. Just go back to the Sony ranking and apply everything I said there. My feelings are exactly the same. I need a Xanax.
Get angry!
I'm angry!
Anger management is just a weird one. I was decently interested in this going in, since this was a chance to see Adam Sandler share the screen with Jack Nicholson. What an unconventional but kinda cool pairing to see. I just wish the story made sense and also was funny. Nicholson plays an anger management coach who inserts himself into Sandler's life via court order in order to constantly torment and rage bait him into becoming a better person. Alright. There was potential with this concept, but ultimately, it's just kind of miserable watching Sandler's life get uprooted by this weirdo. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think the problem is that they needed to make Adam Sandler more unlikable in this. If he was just this massive douchebag, then I wouldn't mind Nicholson torturing him and ultimately making him a better person by the end. But he's just kind of a nice, meek pushover in this movie. So the way he's treated means the whole film is just really mean-spirited and obnoxious. Do I think the film is awful? I mean, I wouldn't go that far. It definitely has its positives. I don't love the character, but Nicholson's performance here is really good. He just effortlessly sells what a skeevy weirdo this guy is, with every line delivery being so gleefully bizarre. He complements how normal Sandler is in this very well. Some of the side characters in the anger management group can get a chuckle here and there too. And the I feel pretty scene is just so out there that I kinda love it. Maybe that's just the theater kid in me talking, but even then, Nicholson's signature, incredible facial expressions in this scene are what really sell it. The reprise at the end is pretty fun too. Ultimately though, this movie is a bit of a slog, and I can't say I had a good time with it by any means. Not awful, but I really wish this inspired pairing of actors could have been utilized in a much better film.
Where's your wife? Go home to your family, dude.
Spaceman is a recent Adam Sandler drama where he plays a lonely astronaut who befriends a giant psychic alien emotional support spider who helps him deal with his marital issues. If that sounds interesting, trust me, it's not. Holy shit, dude, this has got to be one of the most boring Adam Sandler movies. It's slow and tries to act obnoxiously profound without ever really saying anything at all. Sandler acted like an obvious asshole to his wife, and he shouldn't have needed the emotional support spider to tell him this. The spider also keeps calling him skinny human throughout the entire movie, and like, skinny isn't really a word that comes to mind alongside Adam Sandler, but whatever, I guess it's just meant to convey that the spider is big. Yeah, okay, sure. I like Sandler's performance. It's a pretty solid dramatic role to put in his steadily growing repertoire of those. Paul Dano gives a good performance as the spider, and Carey Mulligan is solid in her thankless role as the wife. But I just never felt anything when it came to the relationship these two were supposed to have. The movie is so obsessed with telling us everything about the relationship and not showing a single thing. There really isn't anything here for you to discover for yourself. It's also blandly and clinically spoon-fed to you. The performances all work, like I said, and the film has some lovely visuals here and there, as well as a decent score. But it just tells such a dull story, and in such a dull way, too. I'm really happy to see Sandler continue taking dramatic roles like this. I just wish his talent was in service of a better movie than the Wish.com version of Interstellar. They got married! The Week of. Yep, that's the title. This great. Wonderful. Great job with that. The best thing I could say about this film is that there are parts of it that feel like they could have been fleshed out into a real movie. I can just make out the skeleton of a sweet and endearing dramedy about a man trying to plan his daughter's wedding in the midst of all these chaotic mishaps. It was just missing a few elements for that to really work. First of all, this movie needed to be funny. This is one of those Sandler flicks that I did not laugh once at. The The closest I got was towards the end when he says, "I'm sorry I was trying to be a big shot because it reminded me of Spamton Deltarune." God, I miss him. Anyway, yeah, the movie is not funny, but it's also not raunchy and offensive like a lot of Sandler's more infamous comedic blunders are. It's like he's trying to mature into an elder statesman of comedy, except he forgot to bring the comedy. Don't get me wrong, there are some solid bits that I may not have laughed at, but I thought were pretty okay. Particularly anything with Steve Buscemi's freaky little weirdo character. He's a standout in this needlessly large ensemble of disposable, unfunny characters, who take any semblance of focus away from the main couple who is getting married. I honestly don't know anything about them. We spend way more time on this old man with no legs, who everyone in the family pretends is a World War II vet, so they can get free shit. Chris Rock is billed as the co-lead of this movie, but he really isn't that much more important than any of the other side characters. He's the groom's father, and it's shown in a few scenes that he's pretty distant from his family, a sharp contrast to Sandler, who's more involved in their lives. Wow, that contrast would make for an interesting dynamic to focus on. Too bad it barely comes up, because we gotta get some unfunny bits out of the other 20 characters in this movie. Sandler has this emotional moment with his daughter towards the end, which was kind of ruined for me because this is where that big shot line happens and I was thinking about Spamton. But also, it didn't work because their relationship is barely focused on in this film. I swear to God, the skeleton is there. They just need to surround it with stronger character moments instead of unfunny, disposable gags. We don't even really find out why Sandler is going through all these lengths to do everything for the wedding himself until an hour in. It's not like it's a big reveal that makes everything we've seen so far suddenly make sense. It's like, I think they just forgot to establish this earlier in the movie. There really isn't a whole lot else to say. I mean, honestly, I doubt you've even seen this movie anyway. It's one of his many disposable Netflix features designed for you to half pay attention to while on your phone. Because let me tell you, if you're actually paying full attention to it like I did, it drags like hell, despite only being 2 hours. Every time a title card appeared in the movie signifying it was a new day in the week, I thought to myself, oh, thank God we're making progress. This'll be over soon. I just gotta hang on a little bit longer. So with that, plus the fact that I didn't laugh once while watching it considered, it was a lot better than tons of the other Adam Sandler movies. In Bulletproof, Adam Sandler pretends to be mentally disabled 3 minutes into the movie. So you know we're in for a good one, folks. This is a crime thriller buddy comedy where the main guy is an undercover cop pretending to be friends with Adam Sandler, who works for a big drug kingpin. I don't believe Adam Sandler actually works for this guy for a second. His performance in this movie is decent at some points, but there are some line deliveries that kinda suck. There's an extended homophobic bit with this hotel manager. The movie randomly shoves in all the typical juvenile Sandler humor you come to expect, even though it doesn't really fit with the rest of the movie. The action is extremely mediocre. The plot involves the two main characters both feeling betrayed, because the one guy was an undercover cop, so Sandler is mad at him. And also, Sandler accidentally shot him in the forehead, which he lived through somehow. So he's mad about that. They basically bicker about these things the entire movie, and it never actually feels like they're growing closer again. I don't know, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's nothing special at all. The most interesting things about this movie are the fact that the same dog from Babe, Pig in the City appears in it, and the fact that even though this movie came out in 1996, apparently it got a direct-to-DVD sequel with neither of the lead actors returning. You wanna know when that came out? 2020. Who the hell remembers Bulletproof enough to warrant a direct-to-DVD sequel 24 years later? Bad movie that never made me laugh, but at least it has the advantage of not solely being a comedy. The mediocre action was a real breath of fresh air compared to the other shit I endured for this ranking.
I used to play football.
Oh great, another football movie. The Longest Yard is a lot less fun than The Waterboy. It's about disgraced NFL star Adam Sandler going to prison and having to teach the prisoners how to play football for a big game. It's a pretty generic sports underdog story. I don't like sports. I would have at least liked this if it was funny, but it's not really all that funny. James Cromwell is pretty good as the warden, and some of the prisoners are decently likable. The movie abruptly kills off Chris Rock towards the middle, and I guess this this is an emotional moment. I don't know, it kind of goes by so quickly and he's barely brought up after his death. Like, I feel like the death in Happy Gilmore that was played as a complete joke had more of an emotionally resonant impact on Happy's journey. I don't know, I'm glad people like this one, and it definitely isn't atrocious, but I mostly found it really boring. It takes so long to get to the actual big game, and then the actual big game goes on for so long that I just lost interest. I could have just been rewatching The Waterboy instead. In my opinion, one of the absolute biggest disappointments in this whole ranking was Billy Madison. I really didn't like this one. And considering how it takes up half of the namesake of Sandler's production studio, Happy Madison, I was kind of hoping it was at least on par with the actually good Happy Gilmore. But it's not even as good as I Now Pronounce You Chuck and Larry. Oh my god. Here are the positives, because I swear I laughed at a couple of these jokes. The few scenes with Steve Buscemi are very humorous. This has probably one of the funniest F-bombs I've ever seen in a PG-13 movie. I liked the imaginary penguin. Donkey Kong mentioned. The climax was definitely the best and funniest scene. I loved the iconic, rambling, incoherent response monologue, and the villain pulling out a gun instead of answering the business ethics question was hysterical. Yeah, that's all I got. Oh my god, Sandler is so damn annoying in this! He's just so loud and stupid and obnoxious with no charm or emotional undercurrent for me to latch onto. And don't even tell me, well, what did you expect from an Adam Sandler comedy? Because I was emotionally invested in Happy Gilmore and Big Daddy, damn it. This is so far beneath those two. I did not give a shit about Billy. All I wanted was for him to shut the f*** up the entire time. What does it matter if this stupid little rich boy gets daddy's company? I guess he has to stop the incredibly boring villain from getting it, oh boy. Oh look, the teacher is an attractive young woman. They're gonna get together. Have you ever seen an Adam Sandler movie? This is all that fucking happens with the female characters. They all wanna fuck him and I don't know why. He tries to grab her boobs and she's really impressed by this. This is a crucial stepping stone in her wanting to have a relationship with him. Can I turn this off yet? At one point, he's fantasizing about her, and there's a big musical number that sucks, and she sings, "Don't I have a nice rack?" Then Adam Sandler looks at the camera and nods his head yes, as if to say, oh yeah, she does indeed have a nice rack. See, I wasn't sure if he thought that, so I'm really glad the movie clarified that he did indeed appreciate her rack by having him nod to us. There are also a lot of jokes that could have worked, but they're just so poorly directed that they don't register as well as they could have. The villain throws something when he's angry and it ends up hitting his secretary and knocking her out. But we don't see it hit her. It just cuts to her falling down with the hit being off screen. That's not funny. That just looks awkward. There's a bit where the guy who bullied Adam Sandler in school is in a car with his family, and they drive over a banana peel that was set up earlier in the movie, which causes their car to slip and drive off a cliff, I guess? It doesn't look like they lost control of the vehicle at all though. It just looked like he turned and drove off a cliff for no reason. I'm not overthinking the gag, I'm just saying it doesn't look funny. It looks stilted and awkward. All these problems, however, are nothing compared to how grating the central performance is, and how much this dickish, unfunny screaming from Sandler weighs down the whole movie. There are some people who will tell you Adam Sandler sucks in all of his comedies, and he's only good in like Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems. And that simply isn't true. He's a very naturally charismatic and likable actor. Except when he's doing this shit! You might be surprised this doesn't rank even lower for me, but a cute premise and a handful of really funny jokes go a long way. Believe me, we don't know what we have with Billy Madison, because it'll soon be gone.
Couldn't find the remote.
So, it's come to this. Click is a movie that fascinated me for years before I finally gave it a watch. It's a solid concept for a film. What if you had a universal remote that controlled your universe? It's a premise that naturally allows for more creative hijinks than your typical Sandler romp. But at the same time, What truly drew me into this film was the astoundingly divisive reputation it has. Opinions are all across the board on this one. Some say it's a garbage Adam Sandler comedy, which, wow, that's so shocking. But what was truly shocking to me was how often I heard this one described as a misunderstood masterpiece. An emotional tour de force with profound life lessons to be learned. What were these people talking about? What profound meditations on the nature of life could Click 2006 hold? I don't know, but everything about this film just intrigued me to no end. And at some points, enough was enough. I just had to know. And so, when it became evident that I was rapidly approaching 1,000 logs on Letterboxd, I decided there was only one way to commemorate such an occasion. It was time to gather my friends and finally watch Click together. I wrote up an entire pretentious fake Letterboxd review beforehand that I honestly considered just reading aloud for this segment of the video, with the only segment I added after the fact being the score I initially gave this film. 2 out of 10. You see, I simply could not abide by Click. To quote my girlfriend's Letterboxd review that quotes Mark Twain, its humor is pathetic, its pathos funny. Click is a monstrously lopsided film that expresses an aching desire to be so much more than it is. But before I delve into it any further, I wanted to address the fact that perhaps I treated it too harshly. As someone who doesn't watch a lot of lowbrow comedies, Adam Sandler humor can generally be a shock to the system for me, as was the case when I first watched this film on February 28th, 2024. But the more of this shit you watch, the higher immunity levels you tend to build up. And the more you start to appreciate any level of greater ambition one of these lowbrow affairs aspires to compared to its contemporaries. Put simply, I was wrong about Click. It's not a 2 out of 10. It is a 3. Holy shit, the first hour of this film is insufferable. This is your GOAT? The movie where dogs constantly hump a duck plush and this gets a woman off? The movie where Adam Sandler gets to relive coming out of his mother's vagina? The movie where he farts in his boss's face and talks to Rob Schneider and Brownface not even 5 minutes in and constantly makes comments about how big his daughter's boobs are? Okay, that's in the latter half of the movie, but that's the thing. Yes, the latter half of this movie is better. It has its moments. But then it just can't help itself from ruining it all with some stupid, unfunny joke. It's so frustrating because there is a good movie in here. I see what you guys are saying. But I'm sorry, Click is just kind of an embarrassment of a film. This movie is about a guy named Adam Sandler, played by Adam Sandler. He's a workaholic, desperately trying to get a promotion at his job, and unfortunately neglecting spending time with his family. I wonder what the message of the movie will be. Anyway, he finds himself in need of a universal remote, so he goes to Bed Bath & Beyond. And here, he ventures into the Beyond section. Okay, fine, that's kind of cute. I like that. In here is Christopher Walken as Morty, and he gives him a universal remote that controls his universe. You know, like the tagline. The way he goofs around with it are okay. It's mostly just a bunch of pausing people to mess with them and muting them and whatnot. Unfortunately, I just don't really find much of it funny. And not in the sense that, oh, grr, this humor is so offensive. Like, I legitimately just don't remember anything this remote was used for that actually made me laugh. At one point, he turns his boss really wide and he makes him speak Spanish, and this is the funniest thing ever to him. Okay? There might have been more comedic potential if the effects of the remote were noticed by anyone else, but it seems to be something only Sandler can see. So, if he's not really affecting the world around him outside of his perspective, then I don't know, that's kinda lame. There's another scene where he turns himself green and purple, and the joke is that he looks like the Hulk and Barney. What? Is that really what we're going for here? That's all you can do with this concept? I mean, I guess I should be happy that he didn't turn himself brown, because Rob Schneider definitely would have done that. But like, I don't know. Turn yourself green as a way of pretending you're sick. But then everyone thinks you're too sick and you have some rare skin disease or something, so they force you to go to the hospital. I don't know, Drake and Josh did that one time, and I thought it was kind of funny. Do shit with the cool remote. Make that kid you hate really wide. I don't know, man. I feel like there's more to work with here. But oh, sacre bleu! I forgot that Click isn't about the comedy that takes up the entire first hour. It's about the drama! You see, the remote starts to learn Adam Sandler's preferences, and thus, it starts to fast forward through key moments of his life. Like arguing, or taking a shower, or having sex with his wife. Eventually, it all gets out of control. Oh dear. Be careful what you wish for, Adam Sandler. This element of the plot ties directly into the main source of conflict, which is Adam Sandler being too much of a workaholic and not valuing time spent with his family enough. Is it a good message? Yeah, no shit. But just because the movie has something good to say doesn't mean that it also has a good way of saying it. Click does not express at any point through the entire first hour that it wants to be taken in good faith. Yeah, we see the seeds of the second half's conflict being planted when he ignores his family for work-related reasons. But it's sandwiched in between the dog humping and the Rob Schneider brown face. There's no earnest relatability to this Sandler protagonist because the movie surrounding him doesn't want to be earnest. It wants to bombard you with some of the laziest humor in any of these Sandler films, without any of the charm or likability that made flicks like Happy Gilmore or Big Daddy work as well as they did. This movie has much more in common with Jack and Jill than it does those two. Search your feelings, you know it to be true. I guess the one thing I can give this opening hour is that Christopher Walken is pretty okay. He's kind of enjoyable as this enigmatic weirdo, and the twist with him later on is neat, I suppose. Not that he even comes close to saving this abominable slog of a first hour. But this, of course, is only one side of the coin. Click is not regarded solely for its great comedy, but for its incredible pathos. Matters suddenly take a disturbing turn for our dear Adam Sandler when the remote starts skipping on its own. He ends up flung 10 years into the future when he finally gets that promotion he wanted, only to find out he's fat. You see, that's funny because he's fat. Or no, it's actually kind of a horror reveal that he's fat. And his son is fat too. Fat people are funny and or scary. Why aren't you laughing and or terrified at the idea that one day you might be fat? Obviously, the makeup job on him is very good, and in fact, it earned Click an Academy Award nomination for Best Makeup. Yes, you heard that right. Adam Sandler's Click is an Academy Award nominated film. And not only that, barring any nominations that Jay Kelly might receive after this video comes out, Click is in fact the only Adam Sandler movie to ever receive an Academy Award nomination. There is not a single other one. Not even one of his good movies got in at the Oscars. But Click sure did. This fills me with a violent and irrepressible rage. Don't get me wrong, Best Makeup is not exactly a prestigious category. Suicide Squad won Best Makeup, and not the good Suicide Squad either. But like, if I was an Academy member and I watched this movie when it came out, I would have banned Adam Sandler from any Academy events for 10 years, Will Smith style. That way he could at least come back in 2019 to get his nomination for Uncut Gems. Oh wait, he didn't even get that! Whatever, Adam Sandler is fat, his son is fat, he sees his teenage daughter and incredulously asks, "When did you get boobs?" And his wife divorced him and is now married to Samwise Lord of the Rings. This is an interesting development, as now we get to see Adam Sandler navigate this unfamiliar future, and his new dynamics with his family, or he could just go into a coma and then wake up further in the future, where he's not fat anymore, and his son isn't fat anymore. What was the point of making them fat in the first place then? Just for a cheap gag? You're really telling me the supremely powerful and riveting Click would just throw in a cheap gag that it immediately walks back on in the next scene because it's a shallow, unfunny piece of shit film? Say it ain't so! I felt a little bad dissing movies like Billy Madison, since I know a lot of people like it, and the reason I didn't was because I just didn't find it all that funny. But I am not extending the same courtesy to Click. This movie painstakingly made its obnoxious bottom-of-the-barrel bed, and now it has to lie in it. That's not me saying that you shouldn't like this film or that I don't respect you if you like it. I just don't respect this movie in general for the scenes it has that are actually good. Because believe it or not, we've actually gotten to them. Yeah, fine, I'll say it. The scene where Adam Sandler realizes his father died, which comes immediately after he comically compliments a woman for being chesty before realizing that's his daughter, is good. Obviously, we all know Adam Sandler is a good actor at this point, but people who only watch his shitty comedies were probably blown away with how well he sells the grief in this scene. It's legit good acting. And the scene where he watches his past self blow his father off the last time they were together is also good. I'll give you guys that. The problem is just the damn movie they're in. Click can't decide to have a heart now. Not after all the bullshit it put me through for over half its runtime. Maybe if the first hour was actually funny, or if the main character had a twinge of likability until now, but those really aren't the case. The scene where he's at his son's wedding is fine, it's got decent emotion to it, but he's gotta get in a little gag and pause time to pants his wife's new husband. Couldn't let this scene play out without a joke, now could we? And then there's the grand emotional climax where Adam Sandler runs out of the hospital after his son, trying to tell him not to prioritize work over family, and saying goodbye to his family in the process. It's so funny and pathetic, I mean so emotional. Here's the thing. I can compliment the more grounded emotional scenes in this film, like the ones related to his father, but this is just insane. It's so beyond over the top in concept and execution that it borders on parody. From the big, swelling, dramatic music, to the excessive amount of rain, to Sandler screaming at the top of his lungs like he's Anakin getting caught on fire. Again, it feels like a parody of big emotional climaxes in movies. Maybe it is, since he still squeezes in a gag where he flips off the new husband. I don't know. What the f do you want me to feel, Click? Once again, I have to acknowledge that there's a solid 10-minute stretch of this film that does work dramatically for what it is. But is that enough? Is that what elevates this film into a big emotional masterpiece? I think what really grinds my gears about Click is how much it squanders its genuinely solid potential. There's a scene where Adam Sandler asks Christopher Walken, who by the way is the angel of death, that's f***ing insane, but he asks him, "Why'd you make me waste my entire life?" That's gonna be me on my deathbed, asking a variation of that question to Adam Sandler. I'm going to inquire, why did you waste the excellent premise of Click? Because a film about a man who just wants to fast forward the mundane parts of his life, only to realize the value in those aspects and learn that he shouldn't take his family for granted, that's great on paper. Throw in some actually fun hijinks he could get into with this remote. Seriously, it's fucking insane to me this movie doesn't have a montage of him goofing off with this thing. And you got a recipe for a really strong sci-fi comedy drama film. It feels like the pieces were all there initially, but then they got mangled into lazy, Sandlery mush with all the awful comedy he slathered on top of it. And after watching so many actually good comedies of his, it makes me resent how lazy and unfunny this one is even more. I'm not asking for Punch Drunk Love level writing, just give me comedy on par with The Waterboy, and then the premise can carry the film from there. I don't know, maybe I'm an asshole for not meeting Click at its level, but I seriously think it's okay to ask for a little more out of a movie like this. Every positive element it has, like its few good dramatic scenes, or its makeup work, or the pretty fun vision it has of the future, are completely wasted on such a limp farce. A movie that assaults your senses for so long, only to beg you to take it seriously by the end. Where do you get the gall, Click? I I hate this movie. It's at least fascinatingly bad and unforgettable enough to deserve a spot above many other pieces of nearly irredeemable garbage that we will soon cover. But man, that is not a huge accomplishment.
I'm back in the...
Actually, I lied. Put your clothes back on. I'm not done talking about Click. Where does this movie get the gall to end with the whole "it was all a dream" routine? I know it wasn't literally a dream, that probably was a real encounter with the actual Angel of Death, but the vision of his bad future might as well have been a prophetic dream since it has no consequences by the end. Yes, I get it. You're ripping off It's a Wonderful Life. But in It's a Wonderful Life, the angel is upfront in telling George that this is an alternate timeline where he doesn't exist. Here, it's meant to be a twist. Oh wow, you're so clever, Click 2006. You're so brilliant. I never would have seen this coming. It's not as if this was the only way to give the main character a happy ending, just erasing the entire events of the movie. Wow, you really pulled the wool over my eyes. Piece of shit. I hope you fucking die, Click. This is why Gunn did better at the box office than you. What is the gag supposed to be with David Hasselhoff's character anyway? He's doing a sexual harassment seminar, but he sexually harasses people? What is that for? What does that lead to for his character? I'm asking this because it's not really funny, so I assume it has some relevance to the plot. Hell, I suppose I could ask that about anything in this movie. Why does the dog hump the duck? It's not funny, and if it's not funny, and no one in their right mind would ever find it funny, then why is it in the movie? I know I said earlier that I found the 13-year-old still getting breastfed and grown-ups funny, but that was different. That was a breast. This is a duck. Why did they make so many jokes about what a tiny penis he has as a baby? He's a baby! Tiny penis jokes aren't even that funny about adults, except when it's about Nathan Fielder. What am I supposed to be getting out of this comedically? Does his daughter even have a character as an adult other than Adam Sandler feels the need to comment on how big her boobs are all the time? Like, the son is an accomplished businessman following in his father's footsteps. But what does the daughter even do? Why does he tell the kid version of her at the end that one day she'll be the hottest chick alive? What is with this movie? Oh well, congratulations to Adam Sandler for winning favorite movie actor at the Kids' Choice Awards for this movie. He beat out Jack Black in Nacho Libre, Johnny Depp in the second or third Pirates movie, and Will Smith in The Pursuit of Happiness? What the f was that doing at the Kids' Choice Awards? Alright, I guess I've said enough about Click now, meaning this analysis is finally over! Good night, Tri-State Area. Wait, damn it, this was a ranking video. Oh my god, I still have worse movies to go through.
I'm back in the game!
Happy Gilmore 2 is an entirely shallow and artless experience. Obviously, the first film wasn't a grand artistic triumph or anything, but it at least felt like a real movie with a story and characters. This has all the depth of a feature-length Super Bowl commercial. Like, oh, here's Happy Gilmore again after all this time. And here is every damn character from the original whose actor is still alive. And if they're not still alive, here's their son. And every time one of these characters appears, we just replay their scene from the original movie, because why on earth will we trust our audience to remember what happened in the first movie? No, we need to show it again, or else it won't be funny, I guess. It's just so exhausting. Like, some of the actually new stuff and characters in this movie aren't half bad. I liked the 4 raucous sons and 1 normal daughter Happy has. I like this new caddy Happy gets, played by Bad Bunny. I like when he plays golf with Margaret Qualley and Eric Andre. Some of the new characters are kinda misses. Like, I think Benny Sadfi and Haley Joel Osment make for kinda lame villains. But for the most part, I think the new characters in this film are decently enjoyable. Which makes it even more painful when we dredge up the son of the guy who heckled Happy in the first movie. Only for him to get eaten by alligators after 2 minutes. Because remember alligators from the first movie? That was a thing in the first movie. Did you laugh at that in this one too? What about Huel playing the son of Chubbs? And he has a fake hand too. Because Chubbs had a fake hand. Are you laughing, son? Hey look, it's the caddy that Happy beat up in the first movie. And he held a grudge for 30 years and he once revenge. And then he doesn't really do much and is out of the movie incredibly quickly. Hey look, Shooter McGavin is back and he wants revenge on Happy. But then the boring villain recruits him and he doesn't want to work for the boring villain, so he just works with Happy to beat the boring villain. I don't know, I'm not an expert on Happy Gilmore lore, but I just can't see Shooter wanting to work with Happy under any circumstances. The actor is still really giving it his all, arguably much more than Adam Sandler is here. But man, is Shooter weirdly kinda boring in this. This movie is also weirdly glacially paced. Like, it feels like there's a lot of shit you don't need that really bloats the runtime. Happy wants to make money so he can put his daughter through dance school. Okay, we established that 10 minutes in. Why does it then take 30 more minutes before he actually starts competing in a golf tournament again? I know he's rusty and depressed because his wife died after he hit her with a golf ball. Oh yeah, did I not mention that old chestnut? I don't get it, Julie Bowen is still around. Why did you feel the need to fridge her character? Was there no other way to make Happy depressed and quit golf? Whatever, man. Anyway, I know he has to build himself back up before competing again, but how does that justify all these gratuitous cameos? Oh my god, there are so many cameos in this, aside from just people from the original film. Sometimes it's cute, like I like how Happy becomes an answer on Jeopardy and we see Ken Jennings or whatever. Something like that fits in. But then the boring villain man is talking about his new Super Rush golf, and he goes on like 4 different real-life podcasts in one scene. One would have been fine. Why did he need to go on Hot Ones? What's the point other than Hot Ones in movie? That's funny. Laugh. When Guy Fieri comes out to host the tournament at the end, what's the joke? That it's Guy Fieri? The first movie knew that Happy Gilmore playing golf with Bob Barker wasn't a joke? So they wrote jokes for that scene, and they made it one of the funniest scenes in the movie? Something this movie doesn't feel like doing? I really don't feel like I need to explain this, but famous person appearing isn't a joke! You also have to do something with famous person! Again, that's why this feels like a Super Bowl commercial stretched out into a movie. It just feels like a nostalgia bait cash grab with nothing to add to this character or world. Was I expecting it to be a significant addition to the Happy Gilmore cinematic universe? No, of course not. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for it to be funny! The original has so many great moments and gags, some of which made me laugh out loud. And with this movie, I never managed more than a polite chuckle. It's kinda pathetic. Not absolutely atrocious. It doesn't have any super crude or offensive humor like Sandler's worst projects, but it's easily one of the most cynical, and I feel like I got nothing out of it. Just watch the original again instead of checking this one out. You'll thank me later. The monkey! So I put together a list of movies that I assumed counted for the ranking, taking out all the movies that appeared to only feature Adam Sandler as a cameo. I asked you guys if the list looked good, but unfortunately, a lot of you told me that for completion's sake, I must watch Zookeeper. Adam Sandler voices a monkey in this movie. He has a significant enough supporting presence to justify it being on this ranking. Yeah, I guess that's not wrong, but also, I really hate you guys for making me watch this. I remember growing up, my dad would borrow kids' movies from the library and then ask my brother and I if we wanted to watch them with him. Zookeeper is the one and only film we both said no to. Watching it all these years later, that was the correct call. This has gotta be boring as hell for a kid, because the basic premise of Kevin James being a zookeeper who can talk to animals, that barely even factors into the movie somehow. Yes, instead of taking advantage of the wonderful shenanigans this zany premise can permit, instead, most of the movie is about Kevin James trying to get back with his ex-girlfriend. Don't get me wrong, he does talk to the animals and they give him mating advice or whatever on the best way to court her, but do they ever interact with anything or anyone going on outside the zoo? Not really! There was exactly one shenanigan that a animal got into in this movie. And that's when Kevin James takes this gorilla out to TGI Fridays. You know what? I'll say it. This scene was a delight. I enjoyed myself watching the humorous antics this odd pair got into during this misadventure. The thing is, I kind of assumed the whole movie would be that, and it's not. Instead, it's really boring. Oh no, he wants to get back with his ex, but she got back with her other ex, Joe Rogan. That's not like a joke or anything. That's literally Joe Rogan playing this guy in the movie. So now he needs to fake hook up with Rosario Dawson to make her jealous. Oh man, this is so riveting. Will he get with Ahsoka or will he get with great value Rachel McAdams? Guys, I know this might come as quite a shock to you, but I really don't care. Where are the fucking talking animals? There will just be 10 minutes of human scenes, and then it cuts to the animals comedically trying to order a pizza, and then that's it from them for another 10 minutes. Look, if you didn't have the budget to show them that often or have them do any fun stuff, then why make the damn movie? I think the animal effects can be pretty decent sometimes, though they look a bit rough other times. And the voice acting it's bad. It's honestly really bad and annoying. Weirdly enough, Adam Sandler gives one of the better vocal performances. It's still annoying, but at least he's trying to do a voice and make this an actual character, and sometimes his deliveries can be funny. I also really liked Nick Nolte as the gorilla because he sounds exactly like he does as Vincent the Bear from Over the Hedge. And that just made me feel like I was watching Over the Hedge. You know, a good movie. The climax is just, oh no, can Kevin James make it to the airport on time to confess his love? Because this is a mediocre rom-com first and a talking animal movie second. Even if the gorilla does help him. Too little, too late. This was a waste of my Sandler ranking time. He's barely in it, and it was especially weird hearing his voice come out of Crystal the monkey. Yeah, I know her name. She's a famous actress who's been in so many movies. From the Night at the Museum franchise, to The Hangover Part 2, to The Fabelmans, to even We Bought a Zoo. Now that's a cinematic classic, 5 out of 10. Crystal even appeared as Annie's boobs in Community. Like, her resume is genuinely insane. Guys, should I do a Crystal the Monkey ranking next? I think that would honestly go kinda hard. For legal purposes, that was a bit. I'm not actually doing one. Don't ask me when it's coming out. It's not.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
You know, of all the Adam Sandler movies to get a sequel, I just don't see why it had to be grown-ups. It's a movie where they go on vacation and vibe with no real plot. Is there really more you can do here? I guess it's nice that the sequel isn't just them going on another vacation. It's actually pretty different from the first film. Instead of 0 plot lines, there's 50. So much damn shit is happening in this film, with almost every member of every family getting their own subplot. And practically none of them are memorable? Some characters in this don't get another scene until an hour later. Like, here's this lady who was in love with Sandler when they were kids. She has one scene to establish this early on. Then an hour later, she finally turns up again, and I said, oh yeah, that was in the movie at some point. They don't go anywhere funny with it. They don't go anywhere funny at all, in fact. I swear to God, the humor in this one just feels so much more lowest common denominator than the first film. You know you're in for a great time when the first joke in the movie is a bad CGI deer peeing into Adam Sandler's mouth. At one point, a man fixes an ice cream machine, and it looks like he's shitting ice cream. Poop is funny. Kevin James has a new trick that he never had in the first movie, where he burps, farts, and sneezes at the same time. He does this like 5 times throughout the movie. That's the joke they end the film on. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'm not particularly fond of Grown Ups 2. As opposed to the nice, chill vacation vibes of the first film, where it didn't really matter that nothing was going on, here, the setting and the plot threads are so mundane. On top of the humor being so legitimately awful compared to the first film, that I couldn't be bothered to care about anything going on. I never laughed, but I did kinda like some bits, like when David Spade gets rolled all throughout town inside a giant tire. Steve Buscemi has some good moments as well, which is par for the course in these Sandler-thons. The 80s party they throw at the end had some good vibes similar to the first film, and I did like Sandler talking to his unborn child at the end. It's not like absolute bottom of the barrel for Sandler, since it's not really painful aside from some garbage jokes here and there. What it is, however, is really boring. You can see flashes of the inherent likability of the first film. And hey, Rob Schneider isn't in this one, so that's the only point this has over the original. I don't even think they mention he's gone. It's like he didn't even matter to the group dynamic, and they're arguably better off without him. He's like the Pierce Hawthorne of the grown-up cinematic universe. Well, anyways, despite the smile on my face when I realized he wasn't in this movie, that doesn't change the fact that this is an absolutely atrocious flick, and a huge step down from the first one. Now I kinda wish they did rehash the original's plot and just go on a vacation again. Maybe they could have made it different by all renting an RV. But Adam Sandler is lying to everyone because he secretly has a business meeting to attend in Boulder, Colorado. So he pretends they're all going on a vacation together, even though... Wait, hold on. I think I just described the plot of the 2006 Robin Williams comedy RV. I knew that sounded familiar. Never mind, it's impossible. I can't come up with an original plot.
We had 8 crazy nights.
Oh baby, we're in for a special one now. It's finally time to talk about 8 Crazy Nights. This magnificent film has been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. 2023 to be exact. My friends and I decided to watch it together for the holiday season, and I can't even tell you why. I guess because we love bad movies? We enjoy suffering together? It was for one of our weekly mass masochism events where we see what delicious garbage Tubi has in store for us. Whatever the reason, we were simply dumbfounded by this terrible, unfunny, tonally confused, emotionally manipulative, deeply insincere piece of holiday horror that actively pissed us off with how good the animation was. As if a piece of shit on this caliber deserved it. The only thing we unanimously enjoyed was this bit in one of the last songs where they go, bum biddy 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 bum bum. Honestly, I would put that in my top 5 favorite Adam Sandler movie scenes. I know that sounds crazy, but it is seriously one of the most hypnotic and addicting things to rewatch. Look at the way these guys move when they do the bum biddy 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 bum. God, I love 2D animation. That wasn't even sarcastic. This movie and this scene in particular just look really good. Anyway, the years went on, and you'd think I would have forgotten about old 8 Crazy Nights by now. It was an odd experiment by Sandler's standards. His only animated film for adults that felt the need to justify that status by being even cruder than his usual fare. One of the most unlikable protagonists he's ever played, a veritable buttload of toilet humor, a man gets covered in shit and then frozen solid with the shit, and then deer show up and they eat the shit, and later they poop. And later they poop shit, and you can see their little buttholes. This is one of the only dedicated Hanukkah movies that exists. Isn't that so great? But here's the thing. Watching so many other terrible Sandler films that are simultaneously abysmal and disposable has given me a newfound twisted appreciation for 8 Crazy Nights. It's bad, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's ever gonna stop being bad for me. But I've started to grow a Shark Tale-like fondness for it. There simply is nothing else like it on this list or in general. It's a movie with such an unfathomable level of misguided effort put into it that I truly cannot help but admire it. It's insufferable, but it's my kind of insufferable, baby. Like, okay, Davey is one of the worst Adam Sandler characters. Acting like an obnoxious twat to everyone because your parents died 20 years ago is insane. And I'm not even rooting for him to turn his life around or get with the woman he has zero chemistry with. But, and hear me out on this, I actually kind of love Whitey. No, seriously. He's just such a genuine guy and a true underdog that I really did want to see him get that patch and earn recognition from the town. I know so many people consider the voice Adam Sandler does for Whitey to be incredibly annoying, but I don't know. I find it hilarious. It works for me. He's annoying in the same way Hootie is annoying, where the humor derived from that awful voice is enough to make me genuinely enjoy hearing it. And now I must go on a minor tangent and address the heinous words of a Mr. Douglas J. Walker. I don't know if Jay is his middle name, actually. I've had some harsh words to say about Doug in the past, but nowadays, I definitely don't vehemently hate him as much as I did a few years ago. But this motherfucker has the gall to say that Whitey is annoying and that Eleanor should have been the character that Davy interacted with throughout the movie. Eleanor is fine and all, and it's impressive how much Sandler disappears into the role with her. But she's essentially a one-joke character. She's kinda ugly. She lost her wig. That's it. Whitey is a pure-hearted individual with depth and dramaturgic range worthy of the finest Shakespearean stories. And I'm sorry you don't have the capacity in your cold, shriveled heart to acknowledge his brilliance, Douglas. I would put Whitey in the conversation for one of the finest written characters in the 21st century. Right alongside Jason Momoa as Aquaman and the original Starwalker. Truly magnificent stuff. Unfortunately, the movie decides to stake its emotional core on the shithead main character, which is a great segue into the fact that this movie cannot take itself seriously for one goddamn second. Every time it flirts with the idea of being sincere for a change, it decides to throw in a shitty joke, because we can't alienate the edgy 13-year-olds this was made for. There's an entire song where Davy and his love interest sing about the relationship they had as kids, but then you got Whitey singing some other shit that's meant to be funny. It's not. The big emotional moment where Davy reads the card his parents got him before they died is preceded by a musical number from all these random mall mascots. They tried to be funny. Wow, that doesn't ruin the tone at all. Also, no, these are not instances of paid product placement. They put all these brands in the movie without permission initially. That's funnier than any joke in the actual film. Even in animated form, we can't escape racial stereotype Rob Schneider. Great. Also, look. Fat people are funny. That guy has a sweaty jockstrap because he's fat. This kid should wear a bra because he's fat. This movie is annoying. Not you, Whitey, you're perfect, I love you. How are the songs? Musically, they're actually pretty solid, but most of them are thoroughly ruined by having the most intentionally juvenile and embarrassing lyrics. With that said, I do kind of like two of them. The song towards the end with the bum biddy 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 bum bum, that one's obviously a keeper. But the other one that I think functions really well as a show tune is Technical Foul. The lyrics are still crude, but they feel motivated by the story and characters to be that way. They're decently imaginative, and I like the rapport Davy has with Whitey and Eleanor, as well as the counterpoint they have in that one part. The instruments are great too. It's just a pretty good and catchy song, honestly. It's seriously so annoying that this movie has way better songs than Leo. That's the thing about 8 Crazy Nights. Its most positive attributes kinda get on my nerves, because it just feels like a waste. Why is the movie like this? Why can't it just have the unironic sincerity of something like The Wedding Singer or Big Daddy, without the need to be smarmy and cynical and crass all the time? It's a prime example of what I like to call adult animation insecurity, or AAI. Hey, that's also the acronym for Ace Attorney Investigations. That's cool. Anyway, AAI is when an animated thing needs so desperately to not be seen as for kids that it goes overboard on the crude themes. Notice I didn't say the adult themes, because I wouldn't really call 8 Crazy Nights adult animation. Angel's Egg is adult animation. Anomalisa is adult animation. 8 Crazy Nights is a movie for 12-year-olds who think being an adult means laughing at deer eating shit. I kinda hate this movie, but with that said, it's amazing and I love it. A Hanukkah classic, and I will be watching it on a yearly basis forever. Just like Shark Tale, Freebirds, and Romeo and Juliet Sealed with a Kiss. Oh, who am I kidding? I watch Romeo and Juliet Sealed with a Kiss at least twice a year.
Thanks, Satan.
Oh, hell. Little Nicky sucks. In this movie, Adam Sandler is one of the sons of Satan, and he is tasked with retrieving his 2 evil brothers who left to create hell on earth. If he doesn't get them back in time, Satan will die. Oh no, not Satan? You're never really given a good reason to care about the fate of Satan. His fatherly connection with Nikki really isn't significant enough to the film for you to grow invested in it. I guess you're supposed to care that the brothers are making a new hell and Nikki has to stop that. Oh, golly gee. But it's just so hard to get invested when the jokes are generally unfunny and the visual effects are outright abominable. Oh my god, these look terrible, even by the standards of the year 2000. I know this because The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle came out the same year, and those effects hold up perfectly fine for the time.
Yeah, and I'm really John Goodman. Let's get in the car.
But then you got this shit! I mean, look at this. Does this look like an appetizing movie for you to watch? Well, anyway, Nicky hits it off with this boring girl, and he also has a talking bulldog friend. I genuinely don't know why. Like, what does a talking dog have to do with the son of Satan? There's also these two Satan-loving dopes who befriend Nikki, and I don't really know what they add to the movie or my life. The only side character I liked was this gay roommate guy. Okay, he got some laughs out of me every now and then. For the most part, though, this movie's characters are really lame and a waste of talented actors. No one is more disappointing than Sandler himself in this, though. Holy shit, who told him that voice was a good idea? It's so grating, even by his standards. I feel like I would have liked the movie considerably more if he just talked normal. Well, okay, that's not true. It would still be pretty awful. But at least it would be pretty awful with an inoffensive lead performance. This shit sucks. It's an unpleasant, irritating experience from top to bottom. Though I can't really say it belongs in the lowest of the low tier on this list, because it does have some creative concepts. The plot is pretty contrived and dumb, but I like the final act where one of the brothers does create hell on Earth, and has a sort of wizard battle with Sandler, who it turns out has a literal angel for a mother. This is only revealed in the final 30 minutes of the movie, by the way. So not only is it barely developed within the narrative, it's also spoiled by the damn tagline of the film! It says his mom was an angel on the poster and in the Letterboxd tagline. Boo! This tagline is also really clunky and not applicable to any aspect of real life, so it's not even clever. I'm giving it a D-. Anyway, what was this video about? Oh yeah, the Sandler ranking. I guess Quentin Tarantino has a cameo as this deacon on the street. I like his cameo in Muppets Wizard of Oz better, and that one wasn't even good. I did like the cameo from Chubbs though, that actually made me smile. Did you guys know they made a Little Nicky video game for the Game Boy Color? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you out of your minds? Who even bought this? Seriously, did anyone play this at any point? What the shit am I even looking at? I would play it as a bit, but I already did the Hotel Transylvania 3 video game. It wouldn't be as funny the second time. Alright, let's get back to the movie now. Adam Sandler talks about how great Popeye's chicken is over and over, and we keep seeing the logo for Popeyes all over the film. So anyway, yeah, Little Nicky on the Game Boy Color. Attention all gamers. It is time to talk about the most epic film known to mankind. Adam Sandler's enduring masterpiece, Pixels. You will believe Peter Dinklage will have a threesome with Serena Williams and Martha Stewart. You will believe Kevin James can get elected president of the United States. You will believe Josh Gad will f*** Hubert and they will have little Hubert babies together. Yeah, I kinda knew this movie's most infamous attributes already. I mean, discussing them was all the rage back in 2015. Can you believe in that year Kevin James was seen as a hilariously incompetent choice for the presidency? What a time that was. I just don't really know what to say about Pixels. It's pretty bad, and everyone knows it. Not the absolute worst in Sandler's catalog. I mean, the effects were decent. The Pac-Man chase scene and the final Donkey Kong battle were kinda neat to look at, I guess. In between the passable set pieces, though, you gotta deal with so much annoying shit. Particularly from Josh Gad and Peter Dinklage. I didn't even know Peter Dinklage could be this bad. Like, what the hell is he doing here? Josh Gad, on the other hand, I knew he could be this bad. Every day I curse the fact that Andrew Rannells didn't become the big Hollywood superstar between the two Book of Mormon guys. Oh man, is Gad unfunny in this. I just had to keep telling myself over the course of the film, at least he's not Rob Schneider. At least he's not Rob Schneider, as a way of coping. This is also one of Kevin James's more annoying performances. Honestly, Sandler's the only main dude in this movie who's kind of okay. Michelle Monaghan is fine as his love interest, who doesn't like him at first. Oh boy, I wonder if they get together in the end. Then there's Brian Cox as the military general? What the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas? I didn't realize his career was this dire in the years leading up to Succession. Then again, he was in DoorDash ads a year ago, so I'm pretty sure he just likes doing stuff for money. Anyway, his character is useless. He has a scene where it seems like he's gonna try and sabotage Adam Sandler and his crew since he resents them, but then that doesn't go anywhere. Why is he in the movie? Why are Adam Sandler, Josh Gad, and Peter Dinklage the only people the government recruits to fight the aliens? Surely there are other people who are really good at video games who could help. But no, I guess these are the only three. Okay. Oh, my mistake. They also get the creator of Pac-Man, who gets his hand bitten off by the evil Pac-Man alien. Oh, I'm sorry. I must not have mentioned the fact that Pac-Man's a bad guy? This bit might have been funny if it wasn't extremely predictable. Pretty much everything in this movie is extremely predictable, except when Josh Gad Hubert. I don't think anyone could have ever seen that coming. I don't know, man. Do I have to keep going after letting you know that the story sucks and the humor is bad? I think I laughed one time when Sandler punched Josh Gad out of his van. That was it. I don't like this movie. It just kind of made me depressed. Not because as a certified gamer, I wanted something that paid better tribute to gaming as a whole, outside of the creator of Pac-Man showing up and calling his creation a bitch. I mean, that would have been nice, but I'm not offended by this movie as a gamer. I'm offended by it as someone who likes good movies and when jokes are funny. It's too unengaging to even hate that much. It's just sad. This is a sad little movie that gave me nothing outside of Adam Sandler saying Donkey Kong in a kind of funny way. I think I used that for the number transition for DK Spaceport in the Mario Kart World course ranking. So thank you for filling those 2 seconds of dead air, Pixels. That is the most value you have ever brought to anyone's life.
Don't lie to me, Walt, you sussy baka.
Oh, brother. Men, Women, and Children is really bad. Easily the worst of the Adam Sandler dramas. Even though apparently this is a comedy drama? Are there even any jokes in this? I guess the tacky and shoehorned in narrator said a few things that were meant to be funny, but I don't remember anything humorous coming from the characters. It's just 2 hours of cliche melodrama. Made even better by the fact that there are like 20 different characters in this, who all get their own mostly disconnected subplots. There are a ton of great actors in this, Sandler included, who are just giving such dull and forgettable performances. Every adult was pretty unlikable. Sandler and his wife are both having affairs because, I don't know, they're just bored. Or maybe it's because they were having sex on 9/11 and that made their sex life weird. That's not a joke, by the way. That's an actual thing that happens in this movie. Jennifer Gardner plays a helicopter parent who's just kind of downright evil. She might actually be the most hateable character in any Adam Sandler movie. And do you know how many Rob Schneider characters she's beating out for that title? Anyway, yeah, she monitors her daughter's online activity to an insane degree. And then when she finds out she's talking to a boy on her secret Tumblr account, she pretends to be her daughter and baits the boy into attempting suicide. Really awesome stuff. Coming in a close second for most unlikable character is the mother with Hollywood aspirations for her teenage daughter, who allowed some random stranger to pay for a provocative photo shoot of her that they proudly posted on the daughter's personal website, and is now causing emails from even more creeps to come in. But don't worry, after the daughter gets rejected from a Hollywood TV show because of those risque photos, the mother realizes it's bad to sexualize her daughter like that.
You should have known that.
Anyway, what's Hank Breaking Bad up to in this movie? He starts out as the only kinda normal and sympathetic grown-up character, but then he decides it's high time his son plays football, even though he doesn't want to anymore. The only way to make that happen is by deleting the account for this video game he plays all day. So in order to get the MMORPG account deleted, he calls the credit card company and has them do it. Excuse me? I thought he was just saying shit, but no, that's actually how he gets the account deleted. Holy shit, Jason Reitman does not know how video games work at all. This is way more embarrassing than how the Anora guy was holding a controller. I guess the kids are alright in this. This was a pretty early piece of the filmography for quite a few prominent young actors, like Timothée Chalamet, Caitlin Dever, and... well, they can't all be winners. Caitlin Dever is the daughter of the helicopter parent freak, and Ansel Elgort is the gamer son of Asak Schrader. They have a fine romance, I guess. It's nothing I was actively rooting for or against. Well, maybe a little against because it's Ansel Elgort, but the characters were fine. How about that Timothée Chalamet, though? This is actually his first film role ever. I wonder what he'll do. He has 2 lines in the entire film, and one of them is transphobic. Okay. Why even put him in the opening credits if he's a glorified extra in this? Anyway, I know it seems like there are a lot of characters in this film, but don't worry, there's even more that I haven't mentioned. Wait, why am I talking about this movie again? Oh yeah, Adam Sandler, that's right. Well, I have to say, despite him watching porn being the first scene of the movie, he really isn't in it that much. It's an ensemble piece where it's borderline impossible to pick out a main character. Honestly, this could have been a footnote in the video because it barely even counts as an Adam Sandler movie. I guess I just really wanted to talk about it so much because it's bad for completely different reasons than most of the other shit on this list that just blends together. So I'm gonna keep complaining about it. What exactly is the point of having 20 different subplots in this movie? None of them are fleshed out in the slightest, and most of them don't even have resolutions. They just stop when the movie stops. Adam Sandler catches his wife having an affair, and the next day he says, "We could talk about this, or we could just act like it didn't happen and move on." And that's the end of their story. Wow, it led to nothing. Did Dean Sex Gifts Norris let his son play video games instead of football after his attempted suicide? Is the helicopter mom gonna stop being such a fucking freak after she almost killed a kid? I don't know, the movie's over. How is life gonna go for the anorexic teenager who had an ectopic pregnancy that ended in a miscarriage due to malnutrition? I didn't even mention her until now, in case you were thinking, "Aw, this movie doesn't have too much going on, what are you talking about?" Her dad is J.K. Simmons, and he has like 2 scenes in this. I guess that's more than Timothée Chalamet, but like, come on. The central theme that I think is trying to tie all these plot lines together is internet bad. Like, oh, the internet is how Sandler and his wife had affairs. The internet is where video game is, and video game bad. The internet is where risque photos you post of your daughter that lead to her not landing a TV show gig go. The internet is for porn. Oh my god, this movie is so porn-brained. So many of the characters just talk about sex all the time, and even the adults do it in such juvenile ways. The script is so simplistic, and it thinks it's so much smarter than it is. Also, how do you make a movie with like 20 main characters and all of them are white? It takes like an hour before a black person says anything in this movie, and it's just the guy Sandler's wife has an affair with. I don't normally complain about this sort of thing, but for a movie called Men, Women, and Children, it's kind of ridiculous, no? I mean, there are so many damn characters in this, but the movie's scope feels so myopic and limited. It's pretentious and annoying, and it thinks it's saying something so profound by pointing out that, hey, the internet ain't that great sometimes. Okay, Grandpa, let's get you to bed. Jason Reitman is a very acclaimed director who already put out beloved films like Juno and Up in the Air by this point. So how did this turn out so bad? Why couldn't you just made a movie about one thing instead of 10 different things? I'll never understand it. Not all of us have a Magnolia in us, Jason. Well, this movie may be boring, aimless, and annoying, but it certainly isn't the worst thing Sandler's been in. Not by a long shot. It gets way more insufferable from here, folks. Anyway, sorry again for bitching so long about a movie that statistically you have probably not seen and do not care about. It's just, if I don't give men, women, and children a verbal thrashing, literally who else on the planet will?
He's a con artist who preys on mentally feeble, sick old ladies. And he probably fucks them, too.
In 2008, Adam Sandler tried to make a movie that solves the Israel-Palestine conflict, where he plays an Israeli super soldier who fakes his own death and goes to America to become a hairstylist, falling in love with a Palestinian-American girl he sexually harasses, and teaming up with other Palestinian-Americans to fight back against an evil corporate businessman. I'm not touching that plot with a 10-foot pole. Free Palestine. I will say comedically, You Don't Mess with the Zohan has its fair share of incredibly funny sight gags, particularly when it comes to Sandler's hilarious special abilities. But after the first 15 minutes, they don't really show up in the movie that much. Most of it is just him being a hairdresser and f***ing old ladies. I swear to God, that's the majority of this movie. It basically throws away its strong comedic visual identity to just be another disposable Adam Sandler film. Add in the fact that Rob Schneider has a major supporting presence in this film in brownface as a Palestinian taxi driver, and you have an absurdly uncomfortable film in Sandler's catalog for so many reasons. And yet, despite how questionable it is in so many aspects, it also manages to just be fucking boring! How is it this boring? I swear to God, there are actual funny visual gags here, but they're so few and far between. Just skip this one. Please do yourself a favor and skip it. It wasn't even saved by the hairdressing montage, where we hear the incredible Belgian techno anthem, Pump Up the Jam.
What is it like in his shoes?
Well, folks, he did it. Adam Sandler went ahead and made a worse version of Click. The Cobbler is a genuinely neat premise. What if this guy could magically transform into anyone he steps into the shoes of? That's pretty cool. You can do some interesting things with that. Plus, the opening 20 minutes actually feel like a real movie. There's an interesting flashback to Sandler's ancestors at the beginning. They paint a good picture of how down on his luck and depressed he is. Seems like I'm in for a pretty competent time. Why do I even bother saying that? Of course not. Okay, so after Adam Sandler has a bunch of wacky misadventures, such as being transphobic and pretending to be a black person so he can mug people and leave a restaurant without paying, he then randomly gets involved in this bizarre crime caper that feels completely tonally alien to the first half of the movie. His plan to defeat this evil gentrification lady who wants to kick this old guy out of his apartment using the power of his magic shoe transformations is deeply bewildering and needlessly stupid. Also, he does all of this himself, which, I don't know, it might have been more interesting if other people could have used the shoe power. Steve Buscemi is his friend who gives him pep talks and nothing else. He could have pretended to be the evil lady's henchman or something. There's this generic love interest he's helping, and she keeps talking about how she's a badass who can do anything. So I thought they were leading up to her also learning about the shoe power and impersonating people with him. I don't know. Why is this a crime caper again? Surely a movie with this sort of premise should be a little more be careful what you wish for. Like, maybe by turning into so many people, he's losing sight of who he really is or something. I don't know. I mean, I know Click was also a be careful what you wish for story, but it's just so weird to have this potentially unethical ability and have the movie conclude that actually it's really cool. It's a superpower. His father literally tells him at the end, "You are the Cobbler," like it's a fucking Marvel movie. I was half expecting Miles Teller to turn his head and say that again? Oh wait, I just realized I haven't even discussed the father. Oh boy. So Dustin Hoffman is his dad and he went missing years ago. He abandoned his family, oh no. So there's a scene where Adam Sandler pretends to be him and goes on a date with his senile mother, and the date is so good she dies the next morning. What an emotional scene? Question mark? Anyway, yeah, his father is gone, and eventually Steve Buscemi tells him that his father left to protect him, because he was in with bad people or something. So obviously the father is gonna show up at some point, right? Well, yes. But never in a million years could I have guessed how. It turns out Steve Buscemi, who works next door to Adam Sandler and talks to him every day, was secretly his father the whole time! What? Are you f***ing insane? What how? So the father was totally cool with his wife and son, assuming he abandoned them for years. All as he worked right fucking next door to them. Adam Sandler asks, how could you do this? And he's like, yeah, sorry, but look on the bright side, son. You're the cobbler. You're so cool. Now let's go be super cobblers together. This is genuinely one of the dumbest plot twists I have ever seen in my life, and I could not believe what I was watching. Who the f made this movie? Tom McCarthy? Why does that name sound familiar? Oh, that was Tom McCarthy who directed Academy Award for Best Picture winning Spotlight the very next year after he made this movie. That's like 100%. Everything I just said is true. It's all true. Maybe that's why this felt like a real movie for like 15 minutes before it got infected with Sandleritis. I don't know, man. Did anything else happen? He pretends to be a Chinese guy, which gives him the ability to walk through Chinatown. You know, if you're not Chinese, you can't walk through Chinatown, obviously. It's illegal. But then he becomes Chinese, so he's like, wow, I can walk through Chinatown now. He never could have done that before. You gotta understand. He also pretends to be this other guy, and he encounters this guy's girlfriend in the shower, who asks him to come in. And yes, this sounds really, really bad, but thankfully even Adam Sandler had the common sense to make his character back out of it and leave. It's nice to know that this movie is not as abhorrent as it could have been, I guess? Even so, I feel like I need a shower after watching this. But I might as well save that shower for the end, because if I take one now, I'll just have to take another one after watching whatever's ranked below this.
Adam Sandler is Jack. Adam Sandler is Jill.
Oh boy. You can just tell by looking at the poster for Jack and Jill that you're in for a raucous and chicanerific time. You see, Adam Sandler plays both characters on this poster, with the woman Jill being overly excitable and perhaps a bit obnoxious. This is paired incredibly nicely with the man, Jack, giving a concerned look straight at the camera, as if to say, oh boy, I'm in for some shenanigans, aren't I? Truly a work of genius. Yeah, let's not beat around the bush. I bet a sizable chunk of you assumed this movie was gonna be last place. It is commonly regarded as the worst Adam Sandler movie ever made. But come on guys, it has Danmccoud in it. That automatically disqualifies it from ranking at the bottom of any list. If I had to do a ranking that just consisted of Casablanca and Jack and Jill, my immediate first thought would be, well, Casablanca doesn't have Danmccoud in it. You can basically take what I said about Bum Bitty 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 Bum Bum being the light at the end of the tunnel that was 8 Crazy Nights, and multiply that mindset by 100. That's how I felt watching this piece of disaster piece. I did it all for Danmccoud. I recreated the opening scene just for him. Are you satisfied, Mr. Sandler? Knowing that I had to sit through what is quite possibly the most annoying performance you've ever done in a movie just to get those sweet 30 seconds of serotonin at the end from a fake Dunkin' Donuts commercial that has more artistic merit than any other aspect of this movie? I hope you're happy. I hope you're happy now. I hope you're proud of how you... honestly, I sat here for 20 minutes trying to think of a rhyme for this bit, but I got nothing. Jack and Jill broke my brain. Okay, let's be fair here. Even without Danmccoud, this movie can't be considered the worst when it has Al Pacino. He is genuinely really funny in this. Surprisingly committed to the bit of playing a version of himself who wants to bang Adam Sandler as a woman. I like when he interrupts a play he's in to take a phone call about her. I enjoy the Man of La Mancha references. He's weirdly giving one of the best supporting performances in any of these Sandler movies. Which is nice because everything around him is so shit and unfunny. Oh my god, I hate Jill. She's so fucking annoying from the writing to the voice. It's every worst trait of an Adam Sandler character rolled into one. But as much as I hate her, I still think Jack is too much of a dick to really sympathize with. It's like I'm watching Earwig and the Witch all over again, where I can't root for a single damn person. It's a really foul movie throughout that tries to turn it around and act sincere in the last 15 minutes, but I just didn't buy it at all. Jack never showed even an inkling of care towards Jill throughout the entire film. So why is he so adamant to choose her over his Dunkachino white whale? It really doesn't help that Jill doesn't feel like, you know, a character. It's Adam Sandler in drag. That's the joke. She doesn't feel like a real person. It's just Sandler trying desperately to make you laugh at an obnoxious caricature he Frankensteined up. It's barely even a movie. Just a series of ads that play between some dangerously unfunny bits. Look at Adam Sandler when he's talking to Al Pacino and Johnny Depp for some reason at this Lakers game. That is the worst green screen effect I've ever seen in my life. And I watched Kaiju Glam Metal Shark Attack. Do you know what an accomplishment that is? I hate this stupid fucking movie. It's kind of hard to talk about it and what's wrong with it, because it really is as simple as Jill is the worst character in fiction. And a movie that's 90% her is unsurprisingly pretty bad. Also, Jared Fogle is in this movie, so there's that too. But, and I really can't believe I'm saying this, Jack and Jill 2011 does genuinely have its moments. It's Al Pacino. All of its good moments belong to Al Pacino. But that is actually enough to propel it away from the bottom spot on this ranking. Believe it or not, there are worse films with even less redeeming qualities. Shall we continue on through the abyss?
Half-brother motherfucker, man.
Oh, we're in for a real special one today, folks. The Ridiculous Six is a movie with an ultra-rare 0% score on Rotten Tomatoes. Not a single critic on the planet liked this movie in any capacity. This might be the only Adam Sandler film with this distinct honor. I say might because I'm too lazy to check. So, does it deserve this level of derision? Yeah. This movie is drawn out. It's annoying. It's unfunny. It's racist. It's sexist. Taylor Lautner gets jacked off by a donkey. I don't know. Am I shocked by any of this at this point? No, not really. But that didn't make me feel any less dread inside watching it. So in this wacky misadventure, Adam Sandler was raised by Native Americans and he dresses as one in the first scene. Okay. He's incredibly stoic in this film, but not in a cool way. Just an unbelievably boring way that makes you feel like he's given up and begs the question, why haven't you given up on this entire ranking video, Schaff? It's for charity, man. I'm doing this for charity. I gotta keep telling myself that. Anyway, he reunites with his birth father, but then his birth father gets kidnapped, and he needs to come up with $50,000 to give to these outlaws. And in the process, he finds 5 other terrible characters who are all his half-brothers. So now the Ridiculous Six is here united to save their father something. Taylor Lautner in this is a serious contender for top 10 most annoying characters in an Adam Sandler film. Do you know how hard you have to try in order to make it on a list like that? Rob Schneider plays a Mexican guy. Did you expect anything different? He has a donkey that shits on people, and like I said earlier, the donkey jacks off Taylor Lautner. This is why I'm Team Edward. At least when he jacks off in a movie, it's artsy. So yeah, this sextet of idiots goes around robbing evil people in order to get money or some shit. There's this one bizarre extended scene where they take a break to play a new game Irving Severance invented, which turns out to be baseball. And like, he just keeps making up new rules on the fly as they're playing. So I think the joke is meant to be that baseball just has a bunch of weird rules, and the scene, the humor of the scene derives from you asking the question, hey, why are the rules of baseball so weird? Well, it turns out it's because John Turturro just made them up on the spot to suit his needs. But is that even like a funny joke? Are the rules of baseball really that weird compared to like American football or something? I just don't get this scene. It doesn't even tie into anything else in the movie. It's not like they use baseball or its rules to beat other bad guys or whatever. It's just, huh? Did I like any jokes in this movie? Well, I guess there was one kind of funny bit involving Abe Lincoln. I don't know. That was a little silly goofy. I chuckled once, maybe, at that. There's a scene where a guy gets decapitated and his headless body just keeps shooting guns. And it's so out there that I almost found that funny too. But then they make fun of the headless body and they drag the joke out too long. And it's like, well, okay. I guess I didn't want to laugh at this comedy film. That's alright. Everything in this movie is just so drawn out. It just goes on and it's never funny. It's always trying too hard to disgust or offend you. It's an unbelievably desperate and trite experience that looks like shit and makes you feel like shit the entire time you're watching it. What else was there? Huel was in this and he was kind of based. This was the final on-screen film role for Norm Macdonald. Well, that just makes me hate the movie more, honestly. How dare you be that for him? Yeah, that's all I got. This is an agonizing cacophony of absolute boredom, which is completely deserving of the title of Netflix original movie, parentheses, derogatory. Only seek this movie out if you've legitimately lost the will to live.
It's Halloween, you know.
So back when Adam Sandler was doing promotion for Uncut Gems, he made a joke in an interview that if he wasn't nominated for an Oscar for this movie, he would intentionally create the worst movie ever made in retaliation. He was not nominated for an Oscar for Uncut Gems. Hubie Halloween might be the worst movie ever made. Its only competition is everything ranked below it on this list. Surprisingly, this one isn't as universally hated as a lot of his other atrocities. And I guess it definitely had potential to be a cute little Halloween romp. Unfortunately, it's anything but, because for some damn reason, he talks in this annoying-ass idiot voice for the entire movie.
But also the key to Halloween safety. What could the G stand for?
Is this a character or something? Is this based on an existing property and he's just mimicking the voice another actor did? I don't think that's the case. I think he just decided to make this movie unbearable to listen to for no real reason other than the Academy not having taste. And not only is he annoying, but the entire town is filled with a bunch of assholes who constantly bully him. Welcome back, Chicken Little! It's just a consistently miserable movie where you would hope all the constant cruelty would get balanced out with some half-decent humor. But said humor never comes! It's a nightmare! There's this mystery Hubie needs to solve in terms of who's making people disappear, except he keeps getting distracted from it because he's gotta do all sorts of unfunny shenanigans. Turns out this popular girl from his class in high school is in love with him, and they make that clear right away, so there's absolutely no tension about whether they'll get together. We also have to follow her boring children for some of the movie. Steve Buscemi is in this one again, except they forgot to make him funny this time. There's actually a bunch of cameos in this movie, and the only one I thought was mildly amusing was Shaq. I guess the reveal as to who the killer was also kind of fun. The movie became watchable in the last 15 minutes or so, but that doesn't really make up for how soul-crushingly awful it was throughout the rest of it. Then when he started talking to the dog who eats his own shit, I just put on clips from The Thing because there's a dog in it and it's scary, and this movie is not scary or funny or enjoyable or watchable. I honestly couldn't bear it, and I'm amazed I could even finish it. Oh Lord, please end my suffering and I will repent for all my transgressions.
Suicide is an epidemic.
Alright, look, I know you guys probably want every segment this low in the list to be some big crash out, but I'm gonna keep this one short for one reason and one reason only. Adam Sandler is barely in this one. He's like the 6th or 7th most important character, and yet it's not a cameo, so it has to be on here. He sings a bunch of ukulele songs, and they're kind of annoying. That is his contribution to Mixed Nuts, which is a fucking miserable experience. It's so damn unfunny. It has some really tasteless jokes about suicide. It is extensively transphobic. Like, it does not stop with that the entire movie. I don't like anyone. There's no comedic energy to the direction. I seriously can't stand this. I felt trapped by this movie, like how this one lady is trapped in an elevator, which is a development that leads to pathetic comedic hijinks. This movie is pathetic. And then it has the gall to end on some sappy, Christmassy note, as if the characters learned something. This should be required skipping for all Adam Sandler fans. You won't get anything out of it. It wasn't even available to rent online, or at my local library, or on the first 4 pirate ships I checked. Yeah, I scour pirate ships to find movies sometimes. I'm nautical like that. I've never had to scour a 5th pirate ship to find something. Usually, it's on one of the first 4. That is how little anyone gives a shit about this movie. It's a malignant piece of garbage that makes 8 Crazy Nights look like a holiday masterpiece. I fucking hate mixed nuts. If you like this movie, I think you should die. Okay, I'm just kidding. I would never say that about you liking a movie that isn't last place on this ranking. Because if you like the movies that are even worse than Mixed Nuts, oh, it's the electric chair for you, bucko!
Brother fucker.
So in That's My Boy, the young version of Adam Sandler's character gets groomed by his teacher in middle school. She then gets pregnant, and the plot of the movie is Adam Sandler, 30 years later, trying to connect with his son, Andy Samberg, who is only 13 years younger than he is. Because again, he got his teacher pregnant. What?! How is this the actual plot of the movie?! Oh, but don't worry. You'll forget all about that by the time we get to the late stage twist that Samberg's fiance in this movie is having sex with her brother. I have to admit, it's hard for me to be taken off guard by the shock humor in these god-awful Sandler abominations, but this one got me. It really did. I had to shut off my computer and take a walk outside before finishing the movie. Oh yeah, sorry I spoiled the big plot twist of That's My Boy. I don't care because I don't respect it, and if you are upset that I spoiled That's My Boy for you, then I don't respect you as a person. Sandwiched in between these vile elements are one of the most unbearable Sandler performances of all time, and a veritable truckload of mind-numbingly unfunny jokes. Adam Sandler masturbates to a picture of the grandma. He says, "What's up?" a lot. They all play baseball, and a lady catches the baseball with her boobs. This is a very empowering feminist work, and I think we should applaud Mr. Sandler for showing us how women can compete at the same athletic level as men. We also learn about the staggering amount of child neglect Sandler did to his son because funny. The movie also never treats Sandler's character like the victim he is in the situation with his teacher because, again, funny. This tasteless piece of trite garbage has no interest in doing anything but offending you. This unfortunately means it has no interest in being funny. I chuckled one time at the very end at one of the lines the Black Priest had, and I instantly regretted it because this movie does not deserve to be on the list of Sandler movies I laughed at. This one crosses a real fucking line beyond the typical shock humor present in these movies. I hated it. Though I guess Samberg's performance is decently likable, and at least something that allows this film to tread water, even as the 2 films ranked below it fucking drown. I also liked that Samberg's character was named Han Solo Burger. Yes, that's actually what Adam Sandler named him. I wish they could have used that in a better movie. I also wish I didn't watch this. I feel the need to scrub my eyeballs and then light myself on fire for good measure.
You can't undo who you are.
Holy shit, you guys. The do-over is atrocious. And in so many ways, too. It feels like 5 different movies stitched together, and all of them are terrible. So I guess David Spade is the main character, and he hates his life. But lucky for him, Adam Sandler hatches a plan to fake both of their deaths and have them start new lives, assuming the identities of these dead rich guys who live in Puerto Rico. And David Spade is nervous about the prospect, but eventually he gets talked into it, only to come to regret his decision when... Oh wait, what's that? Oh, David Spade's character never actually decides he wants to fake his own death. Adam Sandler just drugs him and does it for him. Okay, so I guess there's no be careful what you wish for character arc in this. It's just dicking around and partying it up and seeing David Spade have a three-way with a lady and Luis Guzman, who hangs his balls right above David Spade's face, and we get to see them in their full glory as they drip sweat right onto David Spade. I could have turned the movie off here, but I didn't. I just couldn't resist seeing what wonderful scenes the rest of the movie had in store for me. I could describe more scenes in a similar ilk to the ball sweat misadventure, but how long does that seriously need to go on for? Use your imagination! I'm sure the mental image of Adam Sandler deep-throating himself will come to you without me having to tell you that that's a thing that actually happened in the movie. Oh wait, I guess I just did. Whoopsie. Okay, but at least I didn't tell you about his elderly mother coming out with her titties fully hanging out at the end of the movie. Oh wait, I guess I just did. Whoopsie. Okay, I can seriously go on like this for a while, but we gotta move on. So after what feels like 4 hours, but is actually just 40 minutes, the plot of the movie finally starts. Turns out the guys these idiots are impersonating are wanted criminals. Oh my. So they try and get more information out of the wife of one of the guys, and by trying to get more information, I mean they hit her with their car and they constantly talk about how much they want to f her. But she goes along for the ride, sure, why not? Anyway, they investigate that these guys were trying to make a cure for cancer, actually. Are you ready for the big twist? Spoilers for the do-over, parentheses 2016. It turns out that Adam Sandler's character orchestrated this whole thing and roped David Spade into it because he has cancer. So he needs the miracle cure to save his life and help his family. This reveal is not given any dramatic weight or potency whatsoever. Instead, Sandler's character goes back to being like, "You wanna torture me by sticking stuff upside my butt? That's kinda gay." I'm so riveted, guys. He's such an entertaining and likable deuteragonist. Anyway, they gotta get the secret formula to cure cancer away from the bad guys. But are you ready for the second big twist? Turns out the wife of one of the guys being impersonated is actually a twist villain who gets 5 minutes of screen time at the end where she actually gets to be evil. My favorite! The evil version of her is kind of the most fun character in the movie, and it's just shoved into these 5 minutes. Can this piece of shit film do anything right? The answer is no. I really racked my brain while watching it, trying to come up with any redeeming qualities it had whatsoever. Any clever elements or jokes I liked. I think I chuckled one time throughout the entire film when they're having David Spade's funeral and his wife says, "I forgive you for being a Democrat." And yeah, that was it. Nothing else here is funny at all. It's not a good buddy comedy or crime caper film either. It just keeps piling meaningless twist on top of meaningless twist. I really don't know what else there is to say. I just hated basically every aspect of it, and I can't think of a single thing I liked. Oh yeah, wait a minute, I forgot. This movie added narration where David Spade's character would pause what was going on, or narrate over it to explain what was happening in the plot. How could I forget that? It was the worst part of the f***ing movie! It's completely pointless! It has nothing other than reminding me that I could have been watching The Emperor's New Groove right now instead! Every bit of the narration can easily be picked up from the visuals! How stupid does this movie think I am?! Unbelievable. Somebody stop Adam Sandler before he kills again. With that said, we have now reached the end. The bottom spot. Do yourself a favor and leave now while you still can. And if you want to stay, buckle the fuck up. His It doesn't get worse than this. It really doesn't. I flirted with the idea of saying that That's My Boy and The Do-Over were worse, but I just couldn't. I couldn't even bring myself to write about this film for 9 months after I first saw it. 9 months! It's kind of like that John Mulaney bit where if you're trying to compare the badness of 2 words and you won't even say one of them, that's the worst word. I easily wrote about That's My Boy and The Do-Over immediately after seeing them. But I just can't even stomach the idea of spending a single minute editorializing about the soul-sucking awfulness of Going Overboard. This is genuinely one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. It's not the most offensive or the most heinous or the most overly long Adam Sandler film. It's only 97 minutes, so what's wrong with that? You don't know, man. Those 97 minutes are an eternity. I could feel my soul ebbing away as I watched this empty, meaningless series of images for the 4th fucking time because I couldn't bring myself to think about it a second longer on those first 3 viewings. Going Overboard is a self-described no-budget movie. One that Adam Sandler tells to the camera was only made because they had access to a boat and a bunch of supermodels for a couple days. So they figured, sure, we can make a silly comedy movie. It won't go down as one of the biggest atrocities in the history of mankind. I bet you're wondering how an Adam Sandler movie could possibly not have a budget. I mean, people love him. Surely he can get some amount of funding for this. Well, that's the fun part. This movie came out before Adam Sandler was famous. Before he joined Saturday Night Live. Before he had ever appeared in a feature film before. Going Overboard is his motion picture debut. And it's kind of incredible that despite a long career filled with so many widely despised films, he never topped this one. It never got any worse than the first fucking film he ever made. Wow. So what is Going Overboard about anyway? Well, after an ugly and visually unstimulating opening credit sequence, Adam Sandler talks directly to the audience and tells us how this is a no-budget feature that they only made because they had the boat and the supermodels, yada yada yada. Basically, his character is jealous of the ship comedian because he wants to be the guy who makes everyone on the ship laugh. He's a lowly busboy underdog and he wants a chance to prove himself. Okay, that doesn't seem like that terrible of a premise. So does he get the chance to take over as comedian after like 15 or 20 minutes? No! Try 40 minutes! Almost halfway through the movie! Because why would we get the plot in motion when we could instead have a bunch of long-ass pointless scenes that go nowhere? One of the most insane examples that keeps on popping up over and over as the film goes on is those supermodels. Are they incorporated into the plot? No! Are they incorporated into the setting on the boat at least? No! No! It just keeps cutting back to them in a black void as they answer supermodel questions. Why? I don't know! At one point, Adam Sandler says he's going to bed because he's upset that the ship comedian punched him in the face. But then he talks directly to the camera, which is something he does a lot in this movie, and says, I can't go to sleep. I'm too depressed. I wonder where I'll be in life in like 10 years. This is the cue for the movie to ingeniously cut to the supermodels, who then explain where they see themselves in 10 years. That is what this fucking movie is like the entire time. There is no rhyme or reason to anything you ever see on screen. They cobbled together whatever they had and hoped it would make for a presentable feature film. But hope isn't enough. The movie just keeps going with random bullshit that doesn't progress the plot. Adam Sandler has not 1, not 2, but 3 nightmare sequences within the span of the next 10 minutes. Hey, did you know that he doesn't like the comedian on the boat? I don't think you know that. I think we need to drill that into your head a little bit more. Actually, speaking of which, did you know that this movie takes place on a boat? You might have forgotten. So here's an establishing shot of the boat. And in 5 more minutes, we're gonna have another establishing shot of the boat so that you remember that we're on a boat. But don't you worry. In case you forget that we're on a boat, we'll have another establishing shot in another 5 minutes of the boat because that was where the movie takes place. It's on a boat. Oh my god, finally. The comedian got locked in the bathroom and everyone thinks he's dead because they saw his hat in the water. So that means he's dead. Okay. Looks like it's Adam Sandler's time to shine. Oh, wait. First, we have to have King Neptune show up to help Adam Sandler be more confident in himself. I'm sorry, what? Why? What's the joke here? How is this situation at all absurd or larger than life enough to warrant King Neptune, god of the sea, showing up and talking to Adam Sandler? This is what I'm talking about. Shit just happens in this movie for no reason. They had a King Neptune costume lying around and they figured they'd put him in the movie. Cause I don't know, why the hell not? I've genuinely seen student films that are more professional than this. Okay, now 50 minutes into the film, Adam Sandler is finally performing stand-up for the first time. Now is his chance to prove himself. Oh, okay, he just sucks at it, and after 2 minutes, he's booed off the stage. And they just get this rock star who's on the boat to perform a song number that goes on for 4 fucking minutes.
Waiting for them to play Gangnam Style.
Which is then followed up by an establishing shot of the boat at nighttime, which then fades into an establishing shot of the boat at daytime. This is anti-entertainment. This is what they use to torture prisoners in Guantanamo Bay. This is... Yeah, I'll say it. This is worse than the Wii U battle mode in Mario Kart 8 on Toad's Turnpike. It's a genuinely impressive feat to make something so unwatchable and unfunny. I'm proud of you, Adam Sandler. You really knocked it out of the park on your first attempt here. In the next scene, Adam Sandler is lamenting the fact that nobody finds him funny. And his friend tells him, hey, why don't you try telling jokes? And Adam Sandler says, wow, that's a great idea. But first, let's see a montage of some beautiful women. And then it's just random shots of women in bikinis. Not even the supermodels from earlier. It's just bikini women. You know, at least Hop had a story. Oh no, they dragged Milton Berle into this and his scene isn't even funny. Oh my god, make it stop. Oh, okay, now something is happening in the plot. Bad racial stereotype terrorists are here to kill Miss Australia because earlier in the movie, Mickey from the Rocky movies was a dictator and he was watching the videotape of all the supermodels and they were dissing him, so he wants Miss Australia killed. Oh, so the supermodels were relevant to the plot. God, I can't believe I doubted Going Overboard. What a tightly scripted masterpiece this is. Anyway, now there is a boring scene where they all run around the, what the hell is this thing again? We haven't had an establishing shot in a while, so I forget where the movie takes place. Oh, it's a boat! That's right! Whew, can't believe that knowledge was almost lost to the ages. Anyway, then they stop the terrorist goons because they teach them about the fine art of stand-up. And Sandler gets to kiss the lovely daughter of King Neptune at the end, who only appears in the ending scene, because they realized they needed Sandler to kiss a hot lady, so that's why she exists. Hey wait, was that Billy Zane as Neptune the whole time? And that's Going Overboard. Wow. It's truly inspiring that Sandler even had a career after this. I can't believe it exists. I can't believe it's this atrocious. I have been racking my brain for 9 months trying to come up with a single redeeming quality that this film has. But I got nothing. There is not one good joke. There is not one good scene. It is a harbinger for the death of comedy as we know it, and there is not a single reason for you to watch it. Is it Harbinger or Harbinger? Don't seek it out under any circumstances. It's not even the most horribly offensive Sandler comedy or anything. It's just a completely empty, annoying, infuriating in the moment, yet entirely forgettable when you're not watching it experience. I would say Adam Sandler has come a long way since this deeply painful debut of his, but that's only because it was literally impossible for him to get any worse than this. I can say with full sincerity that Going Overboard is one of the worst comedies of all time. One of the worst films I have ever had the displeasure of witnessing. And yes, easily my pick for the worst Adam Sandler movie ever made. It's finally over. 9 months of my life wasted away in service of this stupid-ass ranking, which subjected me to some of the worst atrocities put on this earth. Adam Sandler's life is a cautionary tale, a true testament to the hubris of man, and the reflection of how even the most beloved of us can fall from grace and destroy their cinematic legacy. He is the most frustrating actor on the face of the earth because he is so easily capable of doing great things, both comedically and dramatically. He just doesn't. He actively chooses not to. All of these awful films are damn choices of his. Well, okay, Going Overboard I don't think was his fault. I genuinely don't know what happened there. But this man should be put on trial for every other atrocity he's committed. He needs to be stopped. I don't want him within 10 feet of an Academy Award. He does not deserve it. Wait. What am I saying? Didn't he give one of, if not the best performance of the year a couple years back? Didn't he headline one of the most inspiring movies I've ever seen from my all-time favorite director? Didn't I just talk about that last month? All these memories within me are so conflicting. I don't know how to feel about Adam Sandler as an actor, but I get the sense that maybe, just maybe, he's good? Nah, that can't be right. I watched Going Overboard, and you literally cannot recover from that. Not happening. What's that? Can it be? It is! The uncut audio for my top 2 favorite Adam Sandler movies! That's right! He has a pair of 10 out of 10 masterpieces in his catalog! How could I ever forget? It's finally time to end things off with a bang, folks. Here are my takes on 2 of the best movies I've ever seen, let alone Adam Sandler movies. If you like him in any capacity, or even if you hate him, then these should be required viewing for you to see what he can really do. Well, maybe not this second place one. It's amazing, but it might give you crippling anxiety and make you want to throw up.
This is my fucking way. This is how I win.
Uncut gems, baby. God, what a picture. Commonly cited as one of the best Adam Sandler performances and Adam Sandler movies to date. The Safdie brothers' outstanding, anxiety-inducing masterpiece had me on the edge of my seat with my fists clenched the entire time. And this was on rewatch. I already knew what was gonna happen in the movie, but that didn't stop it from gripping me senseless a second time. Where do I even begin? I guess we better start with the Sandman himself, the guy who the entire movie hinges on the performance of. It's kind of astounding how he both disappears and doesn't disappear into the role. Like, he honestly isn't playing this character that differently from how he would play a protagonist of one of his shitty comedies. It's a very loud and abrasive character, with the voice he's doing being unmistakably Sandler. And yet, it just works. He fully embodies the obnoxious prick that is Howard Ratner in a way that makes me unable to picture anyone else in this role. This character has a single similarity to Barry Egan in the sense that they both don't really think things through before doing them. But that's where the similarities end. Barry is kind-hearted, while Howard is greedy and egotistical, unable to stop himself from taking more and more and proving himself to others for no practical reason. Like, why the f did he show the opal to Kevin Garnett if he couldn't have it? That one stupid action of his kicks off most of the conflict in this movie. And it's just because he wants Kevin to respect him? He's upset that Kevin isn't impressed with anything in his shop? He's a deeply pathetic little man who can't stop making things worse for himself at every turn. If he didn't walk out of his daughter's play away from all these witnesses, he wouldn't have gotten assaulted by Arno's goons. If he planned ahead and got the appraisal sooner, he wouldn't have been blindsided at the auction. Of course, that would have required him to not give KG the damn rock in the first place. It's honestly kind of incredible how much of this movie is his fault. And nowhere is that more evident than the incredible and horrific "This is how I win" scene. Watching him squander the out he's been given and bet the opal money instead of paying his debts because he just can't help himself. He's just like Oscar Sharktail for real. I can't even really describe how the scene makes me feel. It's a bizarre mixture of excitement, shock, terror, and oh brother, what did I expect-ness. So when we get to that dramatic final scene where he locks Arno and the goons in and forces them to watch the game, only to get shot with a huge grin on his face, it's like, yeah, no, that feels appropriate. He's never gonna learn, he's just gonna keep pulling this bullshit forever, or at least until a bet of his doesn't pay off. This might be one of the most justified instances of the main character dying I've ever seen.
Who is it?
Goons.
Who?
Hired goons.
Hired goons?
And the fact that the scene doesn't even slow down once he's shot is the real cherry on top. It's just business as usual for these guys, and Howard's life didn't amount to much in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, the sensational last act of this movie is its best attribute. On top of that riveting Adam Sandler performance that's impossible to look away from. But let's not count out everything else this damn masterpiece has to offer. Between this and Good Time, the Safdies have proven what a real knack they have for anxiety-inducing cinema, where everything that can go wrong will go wrong. The editing and the way conflicts and conversations are laid out on top of one another is absolutely masterful. Julia Fox is really fun in this. I love the grounded sensibility Adele Dazeem brings as Sandler's wife. Hell, Kevin Garnett is shockingly great in this. I don't know if I've ever seen an athlete give this strong of an acting performance. Lakeith Stanfield is good too, obviously, but that's to be expected. It's honestly hard to find any weak points in this movie. I mean, I guess you could say Howard is unlikable, but that's what makes his self-inflicted downfall so riveting. And that trademark Sandler charm still makes him incredibly fun to follow. Nah, in terms of actual issues, I feel like the concept of Howard and Arno being brothers-in-law had a lot more potential for interesting scenes that I don't think the movie utilized that much. And that is all I got. This is an absolutely outstanding film that I feel will only grow in esteem as the years go on. It features the single best Adam Sandler performance ever put to film. Which is wild because, again, in many ways, he isn't playing it too differently than he does with some of his comedic roles. But there's just so much more to it. The fury, the ego, the obsessive desire to win that you can see in his eyes in every scene. What a performance, what a movie. But even though logically, this seems like the correct choice for number one, there's another Sandler movie that my heart just insisted on. Well, folks, we finally made it. As phenomenal as Uncut Gems is, I still don't think it quite matches that very first masterpiece that showed off what a tremendous tour de force Sandler could be as a dramatic actor. If you watched my Paul Thomas Anderson ranking, you probably could have guessed that there was not a single Adam Sandler movie that I love more than Punch Drunk Love. In my opinion, it is a perfect movie. A funny, heartwarming, magical expression of the difference love can make in your life. But the thing is, I already kind of talked about it extensively in that PTA video, which you should go watch if you want my full thoughts on it as a film. But I made sure to save a couple of thoughts specifically for this Sandler ranking. And what better thoughts to save than those that relate to Sandler himself and his performance in the film. Before we discuss that, I really need to reiterate just how odd of a collaboration this was. Paul Thomas Anderson had a reputation as an up-and-coming, acclaimed art house director, fresh off the widely acclaimed films Boogie Nights and Magnolia, which both earned a couple of Oscar nominations. And he wanted to follow up his dramatic 3-hour epic Magnolia with an Adam Sandler movie. Why? Because he was a big fan of Adam Sandler comedies like Happy Gilmore and Big Daddy. Yeah, that's kinda crazy. And the press certainly took notice when this movie was first announced. No one understood why such a promising and prestigious director would suddenly turn around and say, let's work with the guy who made Little Nicky. It was unexpected, but boy did it work out. If Paul Thomas Anderson had never taken that chance on Sandler and given him a more dramatic and nuanced role to show off his acting capabilities, we probably would not have gotten Uncut Gems all those years later. This movie absolutely opened the floodgates for every incredible dramatic performance he's given, to the point where it's not even a shock anymore. Sure, Uncut Gems was kind of the big wake-up call for contemporary audiences that, yes, he is a good dramatic actor, but this was the blueprint, the proof that's been there the whole time. I've talked a lot about the inherent likability that Sandler has as an actor today, but nowhere has that likability been more of an asset than in this movie. It's so easy for you to identify with his loneliness and his awkwardness and his impulsiveness. He has larger-than-life reactions to things, and he gets into larger-than-life situations. But at his core, he's a grounded and sympathetic guy. Seeing him take so much emotional abuse from his sisters is devastating, and Sandler sells that anger so believably. The scene where his sister refuses to give him Lena's number and he gives a terrifying reaction when he's reached his absolute breaking point. I didn't even know his face could get that red. He also sells the anger so well in the phone call scene with Philip Seymour Hoffman. Like, dude, I just didn't know he could do that as an actor. There's no hint of humor or goofiness in that moment. It's just, wow. I also really like how this isn't just a great movie that happens to star Adam Sandler. No. It very much is an art house version of an Adam Sandler comedy. He's played a lot of characters who are prone to fits of rage like this, and said rage moments are almost always played for comedy in movies like Happy Gilmore. But this one asks, why don't we analyze that? Why don't we consider what's going on in the head of an easily irritable plunger salesman who concocts a cockamamie plan to buy a bunch of pudding to avoid paying for an airline ticket ever again? Yes, Barry is a silly guy who does a silly dance in a supermarket, but the movie grounds him and asks us to take his emotional state seriously, to empathize with him and get us emotionally invested in his pursuit of love. Because more so than any other Adam Sandler character, it becomes apparent that he needs it. And there's no shitty lowbrow comedy to get in the way of the emotional core here, like there is in something like 50 First Dates or The Wedding Singer. Just you getting sincerely invested in the emotional highs and lows of a silly Adam Sandler character. In a movie that wears its heart on its sleeve and wants to express, above all, that love will heal you. It will give you the confidence and strength to stand up to any adversity that comes your way. Even an evil sex hotline scammer named Philip Seymour Hoffman. And at the end of the day, Isn't that what the movies are all about? I think this movie is so special to me because I just understand Barry. Not so much the rage, but the awkwardness and the not really knowing how to be. It's so easy to see others who seem to have this whole life thing together and wonder why you can't just be normal like them. You don't know if anything's wrong with you because you don't know how others are. But then you find that one special person and everything about life just clicks into place. And don't even say you won't, because do you know how big the world is and how many people there are in it? No matter how much you doubt love will ever find you, it will. There is absolutely someone out there who needs you just as much as you need them. It doesn't matter how goofy you seem, someone out there will love you for who you are. Do yourself a favor and watch Punch Drunk Love. One of the most beautiful movies I have ever seen. And easily my pick for the best Adam Sandler movie. And now, we finally reached the true ending of the Adam Sandler ranking. Thanks so much for joining me on this one. It may have been pure torture watching some of these movies, but this experience genuinely let me discover one of my favorite films of all time. So I'm very grateful for that. I probably would have gotten to it anyway, since One Battle After Another was so good it put me on a major PTA kick. But the fact that I got to experience Punch Drunk Love just the tiniest bit earlier than I otherwise would have made this entire experience worth it. Thank you to everyone who donated to the fundraiser. Thank you to everyone who responded to my call for background dancers in the Dunkachino opening. I had a lot of fun filming that and editing it all together. And thanks everyone for continuing to watch my channel. It really means a lot that you guys are sticking with me in this sort of transitional period for my videos. Not only with me wanting to do more musical and video game related videos I'm passionate about, regardless of how many views I think those will get, but also allowing my evolving taste in film to kind of seep its way into my channel. I didn't think anyone would really care about my takes on Paul Thomas Anderson films, but that video getting 200,000 views, which is probably a fraction of what this one will get, really kind of inspired me. A lot of people have credited me with sort of being a gateway for them to start thinking more critically about films. And now I'm thrilled to be a gateway for them to get introduced to more artistic and mature films they might not have known about otherwise. Anyway, the subreddit says I mentioned the fact that I'm not really into talking about mainstream animated films these days way too often. And that is one of the few valid points that they have made. I kind of agree in hindsight. So let this loosely scripted ramble here be the last time I bring that up. I swear. If I do it ever again, please yell at me. But yeah, anyway, I'm still happy to make some more mainstream animated films going forward. Trust me, it does not make me absolutely miserable like I may have led some people to believe. The fact of the matter is, I still like these movies, and I don't mind being known for talking about them. As long as people are aware that I talk about many other things, which you can easily see at a glance by looking at my most recent videos at any given point. Yeah, I'll definitely get back to more Mario Kart World videos next year. I just wanted to show some love to Zelda and Ace Attorney, which is why I kind of fell off from Mario Kart discussion. Speaking of which, I will be doing that final Ace Attorney case ranking. Don't worry, I'll get back to it. I really want to go all in on Oscar videos, because I just have an unhealthy obsession with the Oscars at this point. And that ties into my whole goal of encouraging people to check out acclaimed adult films like One Battle After Another or Sentimental Value. Likewise, I'm planning on doing many more director rankings, since those allow me to strike a great balance between mainstream movies people will click on the video for, and more mature artistic films that I'm super interested in talking about. I really appreciated how well the Tim Burton ranking did, since it was a lot of fun simultaneously ragging on Alice in Wonderland and getting to recommend Ed Wood to hundreds of thousands of people. Like, that's the exact sort of balance I want from the channel going forward. And I will buckle down and make that video recommending a bunch of obscure animated films. I really want to. I just explained why it's taking so long in the Zootopia 2 review if you want to check that out. Oh, I will be talking about the twist villain in Zootopia 2, by the way. That's a thread I definitely want to follow up on from the earliest days of my YouTube career, and it is something I feel passionate about, so expect a video on that. I have a really dumb podcast idea that I might launch sometime in 2026. We'll see. I also have a new video series on Nebula that might be launching soon. More details on that to come. I, of course, have the Star Wars character popularity poll, which still has way too many garbage votes. Come on, guys, you're making this so hard for me. Jess and I are going to collab on another musical theater-related ranking sometime soon, so look forward to that. Eventually that visual novel about the ostrich I'm doing will come out. We don't really actively work on it that much, but the script is mostly all written, and I'm still commissioning art for it. It's just going at a glacial pace because I like making videos too much and having that take up my time. This is seriously the funnest job ever. Like, I will just always be so appreciative that you guys made this possible for me. Thanks for everything, you guys, and I guess that's about it. See you in 2026. Or maybe I still have a couple more videos to put out this month. I honestly don't know the order these will come out at the moment. Either way, good night, Tri-State area.